Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Talking Tradesman. With me in the studio today, I have Ria from The Female Touch, all the way from down south. Ria, massive thank you for the effort coming up today. Let's
Thank
talk.
you for having me, Russ. Wow, it's surreal being here. It's seeing you sort of build this place up and walking in. It is top notch. I love it.
I love that, though, the fact that you've actually seen where it started. Because a
Yeah.
few people have come in that didn't see, like, what I affectionately call the broom cupboard. So where we literally, it was about the size of that little glass
Yeah.
office that you guys can't see, but Ria can see in front.
Wow.
So, yeah, bit of an upgrade, but here we are today.
Here we are. No, so I mean, I suppose actually I only sort of joined the social media scene about a year ago, and you were one of the first kind of people that popped up. You went and climbed a mountain, and I thought, oh, who's this guy? What's he doing?
Which ironically, I'm doing again tomorrow. So not the same one, thankfully. But yeah, no, that's so you've only actually been on social media for a year.
As in, yeah, like really pushing the socials. I had the Facebook page for years and years, and that was just sort of a little before and after for all of my local customers. But about a year ago, I thought, let's give Instagram a go. And here we are.
That's cool.
Here we are.
So obviously a little bit about you, fellow painter and decorator.
I am.
But yeah, so tell people who you are, where you're from, I guess. Sounds like a game show,
like
doesn't it? That's it. Where you're from. Yeah, we're going different on this week's episode.
Oh, that's it. Right, so my name's Ria. I have been decorating for, I'd say, about 22 years now.
Oh, wow.
I'm third generation, so the granddad.
Snap, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Third
Fair
gen.
play.
So my granddad, then my dad, and now me. I've taken on the family business. So it will stop with me, though, because my little boy wants to go into nuclear physics. So stops with me, unfortunately. But
hey, listen, you never know. I mean, your lad could have like an incredible career in nuclear physics and then one day go, do you know what? I'm done with all this and get on the brush.
I've had him stripping wallpaper and making tea. He's getting there. So now he will come and help me a little bit, the same way as I helped my dad when I was young. Yeah. You know, he'll come and he loves the old sander and stuff.
I mean, hopefully like he'll follow that track. But I reckon I definitely had that same conversation when I was 15, 16. Definitely not going to be a decorator. Yeah. My son was definitely not going to be a decorator, and he's now working with me with every intention of taking the business on. So you never know.
Do you know what? For me, it wasn't even something that crossed my mind to start decorating. And I've been through a lot of jobs, which I'll tell you about. But Dad sort of said, look, just come work with me until you find something else. And here we are 22 years later.
It's very similar.
And I actually love it as well. So, I love... People are like, oh, is it not boring? But no, I'm also a qualified plumber as well.
Yeah.
I cannot stand it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So when Laura was pregnant with Tobias, I thought, oh, what can I do to, if the decorating dries up and stuff. So I went and did one of these sort of quick plumbing courses. And then apart from decorating, my dad did building as well. So I spent a lot of years fitting bathrooms and kitchens, and I never got into the gas side of it. Oh, it's just... not for me.
Not for you.
It doesn't float my boat, so I don't. I'll do the odd thing, change a radiator, change a tap, but
it's got to be handy. It's just handy. It's one of those things, isn't it? The trades, like that knowledge is useful.
Yeah,
so you know that there's always you can always fall back on it. But yeah, I mean, look, nobody's ever gone wrong by learning things, have they?
Absolutely, no, that's it. But I suppose to take it right back to the beginning. So I'm right near Heathrow Airport. If I lay in bed, I can hear the planes taking off. And actually where I live now is probably only 3 or 4 miles from where I grew up.
Oh, okay.
So grew up with my mum and dad. Dad came over from Ireland when he was 16, one-way ticket.
North, south?
South. So right down on the south coast in Cork. So he was like one of 7 or 8 siblings, and they lived in absolute poverty.
Really?
A 2-bed shack on the edge of the sea. And he got to about 16 and he was like, nah, I'm out of here. So he started decorating when he was 12, 13. He did his first full room papering at 14, paid job.
Oh,
it's a really good paper hanger. I don't paper, by the way, but we'll get into that.
Oh, okay.
I can, but I don't. But 16 years old, just made his way over on a one-way ticket into London when it was no dogs, no blacks, no Irish.
Yeah.
Lived in squats about the place, and he went into a hotel that they were just finishing building with his little Irish accent and just said, like, give us a chance, like give us a few bob to do a bit of it. And they said, nah. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll work for a month for free. So he worked the month, and within 3 years, he was the head sort of handyman type guy. So then he went into a lot of the commercial work as well, doing like the hangars at Heathrow Airport, Twickenham Rugby Ground, all of that before health and safety was a thing. So that's my dad. My mum was born in Ethiopia. She's not African, but my nan was a teacher out there.
Wow.
So and as far as I know, my granddad was Yugoslav Egyptian. Not that he came back to the UK with my nan. So my nan was gonna send for him, but that must have got lost in the post. So my mum spent her first 3 years in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia.
Wow, man.
Which is, do
you know what? I mean, we were talking a bit pre-recording. You were saying about some of the travelling you've done. It's starting to make sense now. You've got that like gene, haven't you? That like
absolutely, travel is my baby. Yeah, but yeah, so sort of a decent life growing up. I wasn't overly spoiled. I wasn't like underprivileged or anything. Mum and dad both self-employed. Mum was a hairdresser, so she'd always pick me up from school every day. There was always hot food on the table. We'd go over to Ireland and see dad's family a couple of times a year, and then we'd go on a skiing holiday or whatever, which was lovely, you know. Dad was at work a lot, so it was a lot of like me and mum and stuff, and we'd spend a hell of a lot of time together. But yeah, not an unusual childhood really. But then I suppose...
How was school for you?
Do you know what? I'm not an academic at all. I did all right at primary school, kind of just whatever, and then going through secondary school, I did struggle. Never diagnosed, but my mum and some of the teachers thought I had like a dyslexia.
Okay.
If you hand me an important document, I cannot read it. I cannot read the words properly on an important document. So as soon as it comes in, Laura, God, there's a bit of post there, and I'm like, read that for me. Same with emails and that. So I struggle a lot with paperwork not within my business because it's so second nature now, but tax return, I wouldn't know how to do one. Laura does it. All of that, I can't.
Of course, when you're young and you're at school as well. Like,
all of that sort of stuff. So my GCSEs, I was talking to Tobias the other day. He said, oh, what grades did you get? I think I actually got a B in one of my English, but I did study hard for them. And the rest were like C's and D's. I was a little bit of a class clown. My parents weren't strict, but I knew where to draw the line, you know. So mum got called in school a few times, kind of distracted and this and that, or didn't get on with the teacher, and I wouldn't conform too much. So yeah, did school.
Do you know what, Ria? It's like the reason I'm smiling. It's just I think so many of us in the trades. So my school reports all the way through was like potential but easily distracted.
Oh yeah,
and that was it. Because I was just like I just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
That was it. It's not like I can't. I just don't want to.
Not interested. If you're not interested in the subject, I think the teacher made a big difference as well. I had like the best teacher for French actually, and we used to go to France skiing, so we used to make a bit of an effort in French. Anyway, she left to go on to bigger and better things, and we got a new French teacher. I just caused hell. Nah, I'm not doing that. And it was like a rebel, you know. And my mum had to come in, and it was like, oh, you got to do the work. And no, I'm not doing it. So it was a bit of that. But yeah, and I left school, went to college for a year actually, and I did leisure and tourism. So again, the old
leisure and tourism or media studies was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So leisure and tourism, did that, and off the back of that, I ended up becoming a lifeguard and a swimming teacher. So I did that for a while. It was easy sort of job. I wasn't like full-time. I could pick and choose my hours being part-time. So I did a bit of that, and it was cool.
Let's pause there quickly to thank our headline sponsors, Zinza. And in particular, take a moment to talk about their incredible product, Zinza Bin Aqua. Zinza Bin Aqua is a water-based primer, sealer, stain killer and odour blocker all in one. It has trace VOCs. You can use this product inside and outside, and it will block knots, sap streaks, water, mould stains and more. We've used Zinza Bin Aqua in our business on many occasions, and it has never let us down. With that in mind, let's get back to the episode.
Swimming teaching was all right, but in the end, I just got a bit bored of staring into a swimming pool, to be honest. got the free facilities, the gym pass, could you use all the facilities, but a couple of years doing that. Then I went into
Being a lifeguard, just out of interest, did you ever actually have to save anyone?
twice.
Did
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
I've just got this image in my head of most lifeguards probably don't actually have to ever do anything.
Do you know what? This one had an outdoor pool, and it was a super long pool and a really deep pool as well. And in the summer, when everyone's covered in sun cream and they get into the pool, it goes so murky you can't see down to the bottom.
Oh, really?
So you've got all of these kids and everything, and so we used to have to shut off the deep end of the pool to a certain, because you wouldn't be able to see if there was a body on the bottom.
Oh, wow.
But there was a little girl had sort of slipped in running around or whatever, and she was really struggling. Actually, one of the security guards, that's how busy it was, jumped in to get her in his full kit, and then I was there to assist with that. So that was one of them. And then another one, there was a guy probably about your go, and it was lane swimming, and he's decided to jump in halfway, couldn't swim, so he's trying to hang on to the lane, and they're not to support you, do you know what I mean? So he's up, down.
Jumped in but couldn't swim.
Yeah. I don't know if he thought it was like shallow
Probably.
or he panicked and
still,
a bit of water went in or whatever. So, that was like throw the float in, go in, try not to drown yourself. And he was literally only like from me to you away from the side, but he's panicking. So there was that. But there was a few things went on, but it was more like someone's fallen over and banged their head or, cut themselves or that sort of stuff. So, it's not quite Bondi Beach.
That's it. Yeah, I think lifeguard, everyone has that Baywatch kind of vibe, don't they? But it's only because like, a couple of the gyms I've gone to and that they've got swimming pools. I've always got lifeguards, and I just look and think, you must do nothing all day.
Pretty much. I suppose this was like a leisure centre, but it was, again, with the outdoor pool and stuff, it was a very social place as opposed to like a David Lloyd club where it's...
And listen, I'm not disrespecting lifeguards and saying they do nothing. Obviously, it's a very important job when they're needed. But I was just, it's one of those things. I guess it's a weird job where it's a good day if nothing happens, but it must be damn boring.
It is boring,
but to actually do your job and save somebody, something's got to go wrong.
Yes.
So it's just one of them weird jobs, isn't it?
It's a lot. Like the brain, kind of, you're literally just staring. But they do swap you around quite often and stuff. And even in the baby pool, there'd be lessons going on and teachers in there, and you'd still have to be watching and stuff. Yeah. So training's quite not intense, but you have to be right on top of it and all your first aid and that. So you have to be able to swim X amount and go for all of these various tests to be able to. Not everyone passes. So it was fun while I was young, a bit of easy money, great social life. So that was good. Then I left there, and where did I go? I went to a call centre, booking hotel rooms around the world. So still in that travel thing. Yeah. So that was my first sort of proper job, really. And it was literally incoming calls. I didn't last too long there. People were nice, money was not great, but it was a proper job. So I did a bit there, and I just had enough of that. So left there, and then I went on. I'm trying to see what one I went to first. Became a baggage handler.
Travel again.
So travel again. So I quite fancied that, and that was hard work. That I actually did my back in after a fair while of being there.
Ironically, I mean, shout out Daz from Cleaner Carpets, who you said you live very close to.
Yeah, and he was. He was. That's it.
But then I guess if you live near Heathrow, it's probably.
The airport jobs. Massive amount of jobs there. But I quite fancied that, and there was only me and one other girl in the company, and our section was. Like if you're landing in from a different country and then going to another country, it's like that. The bags have to go quickly to another terminal or whatever. So it was like we never actually went to the planes and put the stuff on, but it was like come around the conveyor belt, throw them into your truck, drive around to the other terminal, lump them off. Some of these bags, like now I think there's a limit of like 32 kilos. Some of these bags were a 2-man lift. They were big weight bags. It's probably at one of my strongest, and I could do a few chin-ups back then. So I did that for a bit, but again, it was just boring. There was nothing in it. Do you know what I mean? It was cold when it was cold, hot when it was hot.
I think these jobs, man, they're character building jobs.
Definitely.
I did the same myself. Did a year of agency work, did the heavy lifting jobs because they paid better. But yet menial, just literally lift this to there, lift to there, or press this or whatever. But I look back on it quite like happily, because it's like, well, actually, I needed to do that to realise that there's better. You know what I mean? There's better
Absolutely.
places to go. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I've always been sort of, I was a bit lost back then, but always had a drive. Like I'd always get up and go to work and stuff. I just, it just wasn't fulfilling me at all.
Mm.
So I left that job and I did a bit of agency work, and that was driving around delivering. When the first sort of flat screen tellies came out and they used to have to go in for repair, we would take them back to the homes of wherever they were. But I was like a driver's mate. I was under 25, so I couldn't be on the insurance.
Mm.
So I did that for a couple of months. And again, that was just sitting in a van being completely bored. Left that. I'd applied to the prison as well to go in as a prison guard, passed everything, but urine sample came back saying in it. So I got a letter saying no.
Fair
But
enough.
we'll get on to that in a bit. Then I actually went and worked for immigration for a while, and that was a hard job emotionally.
Yeah.
So it was all the in-country escorting. So basically you'd pick them up from detention centres, take them to, I never actually again went to the airport, but you'd take them to hospital appointments, dentist appointments,
Okay.
different detention centres. You'd go and pick them up from prison and then take them to a detention centre, stuff like that, escort them to court. And I did once, I went on a flight from, where did we go from? Stansted or Luton. The whole plane was booked out and we went to Vietnam. We took a whole plane of Vietnamese.
Taking people back?
Taking them back, yeah.
What do they call that? So there's a word for it, isn't there? Is it not extradited? What do they call it when they like return people? Or boot you out the country, essentially. It's not evicted, extradited. It's something, isn't it?
It'll come to me.
But you did that.
Yeah, basically.
the removal of people.
Yeah, so it literally was, you were on the plane. It wasn't anything fancy. We had to stop in Dubai for a refuel. There was fog in Dubai, fog on the runway for 4 hours, not allowed off the plane or anything. And then on to Vietnam, off the plane for an hour. And then literally the people who were collecting them on the other side were there, off the plane for an hour, back on the plane home. It was amazing money for that one trip. But again, like, I don't know, a lot of people have got a lot of different stories. Came across some really sad stuff there, to be fair. Like, there was one Jamaican guy and I escorted him to court, and he'd been in the UK as a teacher for years and years and years. And because he wasn't teaching and his visa had run out, he had a wife, he had kids, they had a house. But because he wasn't on the correct visa or whatever, trying to send him back. And his whole life is set up.
Man. Yeah,
and he had nothing back in, like, I cried my eyes out off it. You know, it's kind of, could you not help him get the right visa there and then?
It's wrong, and it's morally wrong. I mean, it's a very political subject to get into, particularly right now. It's a hot point. But yeah, I mean, I think anybody can just stand back, like political allegiances aside, and look at a situation like that of somebody that's built a life in a country and say it's wrong to boot them back out.
Exactly. There was a lot of stories, and you kind of know some of the people, if they're going back, and it's not going to be pretty from on the other side. Really emotional, difficult job in that sense.
I bet it was, because you must have seen the other side of it as well then, Ria, where maybe there were people that sort of looked less deserving that were staying versus...
Do you know what? Like, a lot of them, again, when they would come to the country, they'd ditch the passport and lie about what country they were from. And then, so they would be in the detention centre at £600 a day and night to keep them. And you would chaperone them to court. And because they had no address that they could go to, they had no sureties, as in like someone who's going to vouch for them. And they didn't have a passport to show them where they come from. They would be in the detention centre for like 2 years, to court, from court, to court, from court, literally.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Like, I'm just running through my head at the moment. I don't want to go too far off down a rabbit hole on this, but
where have we gone?
If somebody, this is what I love about this, but if somebody comes to the country and does that, like gets rid of all, I guess, identification, how do you even go about proving who they are or where they're from? Like, it's
don't.
literally just word of mouth, isn't it?
Keep them in the detention centre for...
Indefinitely. But then how do you ever prove it?
I
Do you
don't.
know what I
I
mean?
actually don't. I didn't never ask the question off the back of
It's a
that.
weird one, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure there's an answer out there,
Yeah,
obviously,
definitely.
but it's just one of them strange things. Or if somebody does get rid of all, and they're not on any kind of database through, I don't know, blood or whatever.
Yeah.
Not that I even know if that's an option to blood test somebody.
Don't know. Maybe if you got that far down the line, it would be. But then still, even. But yeah, like months, I'd pick someone up every month. Same person.
Yeah,
You're still here. You're still, and they obviously didn't want to go back to
that's
their
£600 a day and night.
£600 a day and night. And if you're in somewhere for like 18 months,
Man, yeah, that's a big bill, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
£600.
Yep.
It's like five-star hotel costage, isn't it?
Exactly. So anyway, I did that for a bit, and I didn't enjoy that either. So I just sacked that off. And then I'd always help my dad with the decorating in the half term, summer holidays from small. And he said, "Look, just come work with me until you find something." And
it's a trap here, isn't it? That's the
it's a
thing.
trap, I'm
No, I think
telling you.
about this. I've had the same conversation. Do you know, that was exactly what happened to me. Like my granddad at the time, because I was doing agency work. I don't know. I was obviously moaning about something, moaned about a job, a particular factory I'd worked in, and he went. I remember the conversation. He was like, "Russ, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing that when you've got the skills to be a decorator? Just come and do some decorating while you work out what you want to do."
Yeah.
25 years later.
That's it.
So it's a trap.
It is. But like, it's the only thing that I've stuck to, as in the learning of it is amazing, because like I remember like one of the first jobs, and I'm not scared of heights. It was up the ladder, undercoat and gloss the old skirtings in the oil, and my arm covered in, it was all dripped down and the rest of it. And then, Dad, can you wash the brush out for me? And then I'm cleaning myself off in the white spirit at the end of the day. And then he wouldn't let me touch any cutting in or like interior gloss work for such a long time. And all of that, I'd be pasting up all the papers and cutting papers but
old school apprenticeship, mate. Proper rubbing down with green
all
grit
of
sandpaper.
Blow your nose at the end
No
of the
fingernails. No, not fingernails, sorry, no fingerprints.
No fingerprints.
Like sanding your fingers off. Yeah, it was. I've said this to my lad. I'm like, I don't want to be one of them people of like back in my day, but I do it,
Definitely.
and it's that like, you don't know how lucky you are. Now we've got all the sanders and the dustless equipment and all this stuff. There's areas that I'd have been sanding for days by hand, going through the grades, and your fingers are... You used to do that thing, you'll resonate with this, where you sand by hand and it makes your fingers that rough that if you like touch your top, you stick. You're like a spider.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
No, that's it. Yeah, and pain, and sometimes it'd be like, right, now I'll have to use my left hand, but it's not quite as accurate.
Yeah, the joys, man.
All years of it. So yeah, that's where I got into with the work side of it, and I've loved it. Yeah, really, really good. I've myself had my cousin working for me for a couple of years. He's gone on to other stuff.
So when did you go? Obviously, you were working. Your dad sort of showed you the ropes. When did that power switch into you taking the business, or did you work separately, or how did that go?
Yeah, so I think it was always difficult working with my dad. He was always like good, but I could be very hot-headed. I'd calmed down a lot over the years, but he could walk off a job. I could walk off a job. It's that sort of money that you're getting anyway. And then I had a friend say to me, "Oh, one of my friends needs a bit of decorating. Do you fancy doing it?" And I thought, "Oh, give it a go." So I went around and had a look, and I just gave them like a day rate. You supply the materials, whatever, and I did that, and then I did their job, and then their mum and dad contacted me, and I did that, and then it just sort of turned into that. So my dad, by the end of it, I was out doing all the work, and he had his feet up at home.
I'm going to pause there to thank this episode's sponsors, Abode Academy. Abode offer practical-based spray courses in Wiltshire and Manchester. They teach airless spraying, kitchen and furniture spraying, UPVC spraying, special effects including metal and workshop refurbishment courses. I myself have been on their airless course and I really enjoyed it. They teach in small groups, so it's a laid-back environment and very hands-on, loads of time on the sprayers. Their courses are approved by the Construction Industry Training Board, otherwise known as CITB, so you know you're getting good quality training. They offer full aftercare support and have their own range of spray equipment, which is top quality at affordable prices, and the aftercare they give is nothing short of amazing. If you're thinking of getting into spraying, you can check out their website at www.abodeacademy.co.uk, or you can search them up at Abode Academy on Instagram, as they post loads of helpful spraying content with tips and tricks. Thanks to the team at Abode Academy for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Let's get back to the episode. Right,
So it was like that for a little while. Whatever, not a problem. But then I was like, well, if you want to do that, I want more money and stuff. So yeah, I just kind of started picking up my own bits of work, set up the Facebook page that I had, and just sort of went out on my own that way. And it went quite quickly, really. A lot of word of mouth. Well, all word of mouth. So I did, just friend after friend, their next door neighbour, their auntie, uncle, and it just spiraled, really.
Have you always done like private work?
Always private work, yeah. I've never done the commercial. I mean, I contacted you. They had the massive school there a few months ago.
Yeah.
My dad used to do a lot of commercial sort of before me, but I've never, ever done it.
Did that pan out?
Didn't,
No, okay,
nah.
yeah.
That was a funny story. He said to me, how did you find me? He said, I was laying in the bath on TikTok. So I was like, all right.
Listen, if that's how you find somebody, you don't admit it.
Do you know exactly. What I mean? He was the headmaster of the school. But I went through it all, and then he said, like, he'd asked for 15 quotes and only like 2 or 3 had come back.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, and then he came back and he was like, oh no, you're way overpriced. So, but I'd literally gone back to him about 4 days later. I'd worked it all out, broken it all down, and I just said to him, well, look, you either want EasyJet or BA, mate.
Yeah.
So that was it, and I wasn't gonna, and I was like, such a good job, a lot of money. Can I take a bit off it? And I thought, nah, because I'm going to have to bring in a load of other people, plus project manage, plus be on the tools. Yeah. And it was trying to break it down. I would have had to move work to fit a bit in at Easter, a bit in the summer holidays, a bit in October. And I was going to move. So I was
what, Ria?
Let it go.
There's this weird misconception with big jobs where people look at big jobs and they're like, oh, it's a massive job, I want it. I look at it differently these days. I look at a big job as more risk. Yeah. Because, like, and I don't mean to sound this, like, flippantly, touch wood, I'm always busy.
Yes.
Like, built reputation, put the groundwork in to get to where I am. So I kind of know, without sounding too egotistical, that I'm going to have work.
Yes.
So to me, does it matter to me, really, if as long as I've got work, does it matter if it's 15 weeks on 15 jobs or 15 weeks on one job?
Absolutely.
Like, to me, 15 weeks, one job, that's 15 weeks in one part.
Yeah.
That's more risk.
Yeah.
So it's not always a great thing to have a bigger job unless you're financially compensating yourself, like, substantially to take that risk.
Exactly.
Why do it?
Do you know what? It would have been a lot of stress. I spoke to my dad and said, look, will you come over from Ireland to help me? And he said, yeah, it's fine. Sam is on board. Reached out to Lily. I wanted to try and get an all-girls team, actually. So I reached out to Lily and a couple of other of the girls that I talked to, and they were kind of like, maybe. And in the end, I was like, do you know, I don't even want this job.
Yeah.
Sam was like, why? And I was like, honestly, all the planning, I don't
start
even
managing people, Ria. Yeah, it does complicate things.
Yeah, no, it would have. That was just like, would have been nice for the ego, but in the end, I would probably have my tail between my legs. So
I think, again, it's nice to do it just so you've done it.
Yes.
And then you can get the feel, and you lean into it, lean out. I've done all sorts over my career, big jobs, big commercial, and I've done school work and all sorts, and I've had lads work for me. I've had times where I've worked on my own, and all of it makes me appreciate the other. You know, it's like when I've finished a big job, it's lovely to get back to a normal size job. But they can work out very well financially, but they can also cripple you financially. There's so many ifs and buts.
That's it, exactly. Do you know what? Commercial's just not a space that I really want to get into, especially not now. And it's not that I'm winding down, but it's, as you say, like, my diary is booked until I'm not, but like January now. And it's not because I'm being a busy fool. I'm turning away so much work, and that's even with me and Sam.
Fantastic.
And my dad coming over in the summers. I've got so many regular clients, all my dad's old people, all my people. And they're literally like, right, I'm going away in October. I'll give you the keys. And it's like, okay, we're going away in August. And it's just gone mad.
Great place to be, mate.
It is.
Yeah.
But I try, and I mean, usually I'm like 3-4 months, anything less than 3 months, and I'm like, oh God.
Bit twitchy.
Yeah. But it literally, I've got clients who I just did an external for, and they're like, right, can we have you next July? And I'm like, you can, but this is only a ballpark figure because everything rises, etc. Got someone else who I'm going to see in a few weeks, and they're like, we're putting our house on the market February, so can we have you January? And it's like, next year already? So, but I don't like to go too far ahead, really. It's a lot at the moment, a lot to manage, but I can't grumble. It's all good. It is all good. Pays for more holidays.
Yeah, exactly, man. Pays for that travel.
It does. It
I mean,
does.
by the sounds of it, it hasn't always been, you touched and hinted on, but it hasn't always been an easy path.
Do you know what? It hasn't. Like taking it right back. So, mum and dad were always like good and solid, but it was like if there was a row, there was a row, and it wasn't a violent situation as such. But if there was a row, like my dad could turn the house upside down.
Fiery.
Proper fiery, like Irishmen, both drinkers, not as in like alcoholics, but when we were kids, like we were down the pub and that with our parents, and there was quite a culture of it,
it's
Sunday
normal,
everyone was in the beer garden, there's your bag of crisps and your Coke or whatever. Our local pub, there are goats in the garden, and they climbing frame and that. The pub would be packed on a Sunday.
I think it's worth pointing out because there's a time frame significance to it, because pubs did used to be like the hub of like your local was kind of where, but this is before social media, so to meet somebody you had to see them. So
absolutely.
it was, and that was what pubs were. They were like meeting points, gathering places, and so it's worth putting the context of the time in society, really, because things were different,
completely different. I mean, all of the pubs are going now, unless they're sort of the chain ones that do the bit of food, but that was it, so mum and dad, they were very social. They had a really good group of friends. We used to go on holiday like skiing. I'd be the only kid, and they'd, at the end of the ski day, we'd all go out, they'd all throw their coats in the corner, I'd go to sleep, and they would party the night away.
Were you an only kid?
I've got half brother on my dad's side. He's a little bit older, a couple of years older. He lives in Australia. So yeah, there was a lot of fieriness, and it was like they never had a conversation. It was like 0 to 100. If they didn't agree on something, it was like, right, we're going at it. So I saw a lot of that growing up, and I remember a few times my mum removing me from the house to go to a neighbour's or whatever. Just she'd be crying, I'd see it. Again, never actual like violence. I think there may have been one occasion, but that was a little bit later on. So that actually left a bit of a mark on me, in the sense of, as I was growing up and started going out on my own, I never wanted to be too far away from my mum. I kind of always wanted to be there.
Were you worried about your mum?
Yeah, kind of. But, like, to sort of protect her. But again, it wasn't that he was violent to her, but it was sad to see her upset and crying or whatever, So, so there was a bit of that, and then Dad got into drinking. He had a series of events. He actually, old clients of his, he looked after them for years and years and years. And then as the gent was getting kind of ill, my dad, they didn't have any kids or family, and that, so my dad would just help out, doctors, hospital, drive them here and there if they needed it. And he eventually died, and my dad helped with all of the funeral stuff. And then my dad looked after the lady, and she ended up dying. And then a few weeks after that, 2 of my cousins were killed in a car crash, brothers, and their elder brother was supposed to be in the car with them. So that was only a few weeks later. Then 5 weeks later, my granddad, his dad died. And I just think like the stress and the pressure of it all got to a boiling point, and he was up bang on the drink. They parents have property in Ireland as well, and he sort of like just went over there, recluse, loads of drinking and stuff. And with that happening, my mum sort of like, he's just upped and left. She's having a nervous breakdown as well. So I'm there trying to like look after my mum, and so it's getting me a bit upset. Blimey.
That's all right, man.
Panic attacks in the street, and I'd be with her a lot, and yeah, so I kind of, it was a really difficult time, so, and I don't think when you're that sort of young, it's not that it's all about you, but I'm like, how's dad just gone off and left? Do you know what I mean? Rather than thinking, shit, he's going through
Yeah,
something.
it
Do you know
does.
what I mean?
Yeah. I know that one 100%. It does. And when you are young, it does feel like you're the center of your own universe,
Yeah, of
aren't you?
course.
And I know certainly, like as I've got older, I look at some of my parents' behaviours and I look back and I think I understand it. I don't accept it was correct,
Yeah,
but I understand it now from an
yeah,
adult perspective. When you're younger,
absolutely.
yeah, 100%, you look at it and it's like, feels like it would have felt like an abandonment of
Yeah,
you
definitely.
rather than your dad's got issues he's trying to deal with. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but he's
yeah.
left me.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So, I mean, actually, I think all of that sort of happened so long ago. I can't remember the times as such, how old I was and stuff. But that was a really difficult time. And then he ended up coming back, and from having my mum as an absolute nervous wreck, Russ. So I mean, like I used to, she'd ring me up at like 2 a.m, absolutely howling, crying. And I'd go and pick her up, and I would just drive her around central London, just look at the lights, the sights, just trying to keep her calm,
having panic
take her, yeah,
attacks.
that kind of stuff, just crying, sobbing uncontrollably, So I didn't know what to do. She she sort of like lost her world in that sense, and it wasn't because they'd broken up as such. He was having a mental breakdown over in Ireland, she's having a mental breakdown there, and I'm in the middle of it. And all at this sort of point as well, actually that was probably a little bit later on, but in myself, like coming out as gay, like there was just a lot for me. So even though that was going on, it is sort of like leading back to me and my emotions and why things happened to me. Dad came back from Ireland, kind of sobered himself up, went through like the proper DTs and everything. I see
Oh,
it, like
really?
him being sick and the rest of it. And I seeing him kind of do that to my mum, and then when he come back, it was almost like, oh, that's going to be, she just sort of let him back in with open arms. Again, not that it was between them two, and I didn't speak to my dad for about a year because of it, because again, it was like, and my mum had even said, I was living up the road at the time. My property was only about 8 doors, 9 doors away. So I must have
Okay.
got my first place when I was 17 with help from my parents. But I was living there, and all of a sudden, because I was not talking to my dad when I was going into the house, my mum actually said, look, if you want to be like that, don't come round. I'll see you outside of the house. And I took that as a, fucking hell, like, I've just done all of that for you. She's
Yeah.
trying to cling on to him. So that all went on. I kind of spiraled. I had a few bad relationships in the beginning of coming out, being gay and being down the gay pub and stuff, trying to find my feet.
Was
Not
it? I mean, I don't want to push into it if it's not something you really want to talk about. But how was the whole coming out side of things, like with your parents
Do
and
you know
that?
what?
Was
They
that
were
all?
cool.
Yeah.
Actually, my mum was a bit kind of shocked at first. I think she sort of knew. She lived in Australia with gay guys and the rest of it, so it wasn't a thing. But I think she thought someone had sought me out and turned me gay, whereas actually it was me going to the gay pub and
Right.
met
Okay.
someone. I
Yeah.
just think it was an initial shock. And she told my dad, and my dad was like, all right. But considering my dad was brought up like strict Catholic
It
Irish,
was why I was wondering. It's why I asked that
nah, he's
question because I thought,
absolutely good as
yeah,
gold. Good as gold. I couldn't have asked for better. And again, do you know what? It would have been like, well, that's sort of me. But yeah, they didn't turn their backs on me in that sense. I mean, I'm getting my dates really mixed up and messed up here, but
it's hard, mate, isn't it, when you're
oh, it
trying to
really is
like
trying to
bring
put
it
it
all
all
together. Yeah.
into. But no, there was so yeah, a few bad relationships. Ended up getting into smoking weed and started taking a bit of cocaine, just socially.
Party drug.
Party drug, yeah. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit more, a little bit more. And again, it was like the feel good thing, the smoking weed, whatever, few drinks, all of this stuff going on with my parents and with me and my mum as well. She, looking at my mum and looking up to my mum, she's a very wise woman, and she was someone who always made good decisions and right decisions in what she was doing. So it was like when I got my first property, a friend had moved to New Zealand, and so they remortgaged their place, bought the flat. I moved into it, but I paid all the mortgage and all the bills. And since then, I've paid back every single penny. But I was like 17 when I got that property. I was not ready for that. I was
That's
not
massive.
ready for that.
Yeah, 17 having your own pad is big.
And it weren't even a lot of money that I had to pay, but it was almost half of my wages off I think I was working at the call centre at the time.
Mm.
And I had my first girlfriend living with me there, and then when she moved out and double the money, it was a lot. So in the end, I ended up like walking out of that property. It was too much stress. It was such a sell the thing. I don't want it. Looking back now, it was like amazing what they did for me, but I wasn't ready for it. If they had wanted to buy it and maybe rent it out, but me and mum clashed a lot, but she always tried to do the right thing by me. And a lot of the time it was I'd talk to her about, like, I wanted to go off to one of these hot places and do like a summer season or whatever, and the old teletext.
Oh, mate. Jesus Christ, man. What a blast from the past.
Exactly.
Teletext.
This is it.
People listening to this, some of you are not going to even know what that is. Some of you have just done what I've done, which is gone, oh my God, yeah. There was a special page, wasn't there? All I remember, right, was pressing the yellow button on the remote, and it used to take you to teletext holidays. And you could look at them, and it would, how Ace was at, you could look at them and it would, oh man, the nostalgia right now.
Phone number of it there too.
Yeah. And it would be like a 4-star holiday to Corfu.
Yeah.
And then it'd have the hotel name. You'd have no idea what it was like. Used to really put faith in the stars.
Absolutely,
you know
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely.
Oh, it'll be 3-star. Now you've got 1,000,001 reviews, TripAdvisor photos to look at. There was none of that.
Nothing. The internet, what does it look like? Can you walk to the beach from it? Like all of that now.
Yeah.
But I'd sort of I was looking on there and I'd seen flight to, where was it? Tenerife or somewhere. Actually, I was about 16 at this point. I had a boyfriend. And we were like, should we just go off to Tenerife for a bit and do a bit? So I'd ask my mum, look, blah. And because she said no, it was like, okay, I wasn't going to go. I always sort of sought my mum's approval in the things, and it was kind of like, I'm always going to show you the right way and stuff. And again, with the property, what I'm trying to get at with all of this is kind of, I was quite lost in myself because I didn't have a lot of self-confidence in my own decision-making, because my mum had always not wrapped me up in cotton wool. Like, she made me get up and do things, but it was kind of,
You got used to asking your mum what to do.
And even like pushing on a bit, so it was kind of, I lost my train of thought. So, with all of that and then that happening with my parents and stuff, I was just really lost. So I went down the route of smoking cannabis, taking a bit of cocaine. I was in a really, really bad relationship at the time as well with a girl who had a child. And then a couple of years later, my parents, I think actually this was pushing about my 21st birthday. I'm sure I was 21, maybe 20. And that's when all the stuff happened with my dad going off to Ireland. He did it twice within short succession, and that happening with my mum. But they'd gone off to Goa. They got a property out in Goa as well. Like on
your parents then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk about that in a bit. But my 21st birthday, my parents had gone to Goa after all of that shit happening. And then not talking to my dad, and then seeing my mum like that. Had this girlfriend who had a kid. The dad was still well involved in the kid's life and stuff, and then he was going to stay there to be with the kid for Christmas. Kid was about 3, maybe 4, and a few weeks after Christmas, she tells me she's pregnant. But it ain't me, is it?
Wow. Yeah.
So that happens, and they were like, not. He still really wanted her, but she was the one who'd finished it. Like when the kid was not that, whatever, maybe too many sherries and a bit of Christmas cheer,
Yeah. It's easy to draw the dots as to what's happened there, mate. Isn't it?
So that's happened at Christmas. The drugs are spiraling. Parents have gone off to Goa, and I'm sat there on my 21st birthday at home in my parents' house. I think I'd left the flat at that point, walked out, was living with the girlfriend. The flat had been rented out that I'd had at 17. And I'm sat there on my 21st birthday all on my own. think my dad's best friend was staying in the house because they had dogs, Great Danes, and I wasn't. I'd only sort of, my birthday's in January, so from Christmas to January, all of a sudden, all of this had sort of happened, and that was it. I was kind of at rock bottom at that point, and ready to
turn to what you knew to turn to.
Not even that, mate. I literally sat there. I'd spoken to my parents, happy birthday and all that on my 21st, put the phone down. I'd rang them, and I was ready to end it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was literally like, girlfriend's done that. Parents are away for my 21st birthday. Like, now I'm like, it's only a birthday. But do you know what I mean? And after all of that happening, I think I was on the dole at the time as well, just because I couldn't manage everything. I just remember getting off the phone from my parents thinking I've rang them for the last time on my birthday to I'd been drinking like anything that was in the house. It was like a bottle of this fizzy, a bottle of Bailey's as well. I was smashed. And not that I had a set plan, but I just, with my dad's best friend being in the house, I just thought I cannot have him.
That was the thing that stopped you, the fact that he was there.
Yeah. Wow. Had I been in the house on my own with the dogs and he weren't staying there, I was just ready then. I was like, what is going on? Everyone's sort of abandoning me, doing wrong by me. Yeah, I was in such a bad place.
I think it's one of the things to point out though here, isn't it? Because obviously, you sat here today and you've done all this extra stuff since that point, but quite a weird combination of things have happened that have prevented you doing something at 21 that could have put a full stop to things. And the reason I'm bringing this up is you were at a point of crisis because you'd had this combination of, like I've said before, like life tends to throw combinations at you in terms of like, it's not a knockout blow, it's like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And you get to that point of just like, fuck it. And the reason I'm saying this is because there could be people listening or know people that are listening that are in that position. But it's what I want to point out is it passes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hang on in there, because although life does throw those combination knockouts, once you get to rock bottom, the only way is up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once you've lost everything and you can't have anything more took away from you and you're still here, the only way is up, the only way is better. And it just shows, like, that what I'm trying to point out is you hit that rock bottom, but look at where you are now. But look at everything that you've done over the last, however many years since then.
Absolutely.
So, but I appreciate you sharing that, because that's like a raw moment,
kind of, wow, really is. I mean, I'm not mumbled through that. It was like 21 years ago, give my age away now. So my dates and stuff are very sort of muddled, and it is stuff I've dealt with as well. I did kind of little bits of counselling back then. Again, it was never conversations that were had with my parents.
To take you back to then, did you ever talk to anyone about that then?
No. I didn't have anyone. I'll tell you what, actually, Russ, there is one friend of mine, Anna. I'll give Anna a shout out. She, when I was doing the coke and stuff, I was going into psychosis. So I'd be sat in my girlfriend's flat at the time, looking out the window. My car was outside, fully locked up, and I knew it was. I see people sitting in the car, people sitting in the trees, and stuff like that. It started going like.
So you were on it heavy by then.
Do you know what? And I was like doing it, and almost like not being able to breathe properly, swallow like it wasn't that I was doing it because I was enjoying that. There weren't no buzz anymore. There was no buzz anymore. It was kind of, it was such a habit, and I was still going to work then, and that was at immigration. They must have known, mate. They must have known, because I'm like up all night doing bits, going to work, and if I was at the court escorting people, I'd just be asleep, and a couple of people half commented and stuff. And they didn't do regular drugs tests. How they didn't, But my friend Anna, who I met there, I'd ring her up. She'd be at a night shift. She was one of the managers, supervisors in the sort of unit, and it wasn't far from where I was. Ring her up 2 a.m, come and get me, come and get there. People are after me. She'd come, drop work, drive, come and get me, and sit me in her car just outside of the shutters where the immigration vans would come in and out, and she could see me. And like, a couple of times I went in and I'd be off my head. Like, it was it was Anna, I'd say, definitely really helped me through it. But she was only young herself, a couple of years older than me, and going through her own stuff. So apart from that, no, I didn't
I mean,
have anyone to speak to.
what was the point then, Rita? So if you got to that point where you considered ending it, and your friend of the family was there with the dogs, like how quickly did that feeling pass where you thought, okay, that's not an option. Obviously you still weren't in a good place, but that feeling of wanting to end it, like how long
Do
did
you
that
know
stay
what? I
with you?
just think I went and laid on the bed with a bottle of Bailey's, kept drinking, and just passed out. And obviously, I woke up feeling sick as a dog. But that, I think sometimes the alcohol, I mean, I was at the absolute bottom of everything. But kind of when I woke up the next day, I wasn't like suicidal as such, but I was still, what the fuck's going on with my life? Like, parents are away, just heard that with the girlfriend. What am I doing now? I didn't have a job that I was going to as such. So it was really, really difficult. It was just low, still drinking. I didn't have any money in the end to be doing drugs and stuff either. So, and I think eventually where I didn't get help for it in the sense of going to get help, it just got to a case of like I would do it and I couldn't breathe when I was doing it. I'd feel like a lump and a knot here. So I just had to pull myself out of a hole. And then what sort of happened was when my parents got back from Goa, it was fine, it was okay. Anyway, they had to have some subsidence work done on their place, and the tenants were moving out of my flat. So they moved into my flat, and I ended up obviously going and staying down there as well. So I had them around. I wasn't with the girlfriend anymore or whatever, so at least I was safe, and it was my flat, it was with my parents. I had no worries in that sense, so that sort of took pressure off about bills or money and that. But I was drinking so much, I'd stopped the coke, literally stopped dead overnight.
You just stopped it
It's just
yourself?
stopped. I had to, mate. I couldn't breathe when I was on it, and I was seeing people in trees and that.
Takes some strength though to even recognise
Yeah,
that.
I just couldn't, like, I suppose it's like an alcoholic who picks up a drink and doesn't want to be drinking, but they need it to level them out as such or whatever. But I couldn't. I would do it and I couldn't breathe. I'd be like gasping for breath, panicking, like anxiety and that, and I just couldn't. But I switched it to like between 12 and 24 cans of Strongbow, just sat in my room. And my mum she'd go to Tesco's and that, and she'd get some or whatever. And then she walked into the bed and she's like, "You've done 12 cans?" Well, I'm going through the breakup, blah, blah. Putting it down to that, So just slowly had to sort of pull myself out of a hole. I think back then as well, I had no friends, mate. I didn't really see any of my friends from school. We were just different people. I was the rebel. And I had my friend Anna. And apart from that, a few, they weren't friends, but just people down the gay pub. And I had no money to be going out and the rest of it. So, and also in that relationship, there was a little bit of narcissism and stuff. So again, I was stripped of all of my identity and all of that stuff within that relationship as well. I just didn't know who I was or what I was doing. So I actually made some friends online on like chat rooms and stuff. And it wasn't that I was trying to get into a relationship, but like gay women chat rooms.
Chat rooms.
Chat rooms, mate,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's nostalgia again, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made 2 or 3 friends on there, and some of them had girlfriends, whatever, and we used to go out and hang out and social, like just slowly over time. I was working with my dad literally off the back of all of that happening, and that's sort of where the journey really began with the decorating, getting a little bit of money, subbing off him because I'd be going out then a good few nights, but just kind of like socially, and I wasn't doing any of the drugs and stuff. Going out for a few drinks. I picked up some bar work as well, so I was working with my dad all day, and then I'd work in a bar in the evenings, and that's just started getting some money together. It just took a lot of time and a lot of like, well, the only way is up from here, really.
Exactly
That
that, yeah.
couldn't get any lower. So other stuff obviously had passed with my parents, but never discussed, never spoken about. It's kind of like the arguments had been had and the rest of it, and that was gone. So yeah, I just sort of started rebuilding my life from there, made a good circle of mates down one of the local pubs, and we started all getting quite close. Again, I don't speak to a lot of them now. I'm a bit of an avoidant attachment style, so we've all like grown up and gone on to different things or whatever, but life became good again, really. Just working hard, got my head down, was enjoying the work. And then I met Laura. I met the one, I suppose. So, and that was on a Facebook chat room.
Really?
Yeah. So that was
How long have you
mad.
guys been together?
Oh, bloody hell. 2008 we got together.
Made me do maths again now, really. Do you know what the frightening thing now is? That's 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
How is that? How was 2008, 17
That's
years
mad,
ago?
isn't it? So yeah, so we got together. And I wasn't. Do you know what, Russ? Even from like young, I'd been like a serial relationship. I had no time on my own, no time just to be me, figure out who I was, what I wanted. And at this point, I hadn't really done any traveling. I'd been to Goa at 16-ish with my mum and my mum's best friend. A bit of holidaying with my parents and stuff. It wasn't a big thing for me as such. Spent the millennium actually in Goa on the beach, watching people throw boxes of fireworks into fires. It was like a war zone, pure rockets everywhere. It was mental. But yeah, no, I met Laura, 17 years ago now. So, and it just, I had a bit of time where I was single before that and having fun and going out and doing nice things with people, like going bowling and Nando's and just setting up a bit of a life for myself in that sense. And we met, we went on a date, and the rest is history, really. So, us gay girls, we moved pretty quick.
Let's take a quick break there to thank this episode's sponsors, Brewers Decorators Centres. Brewers have got over 200 stores nationwide. They're the premier destination for decorators, and they stock all of the best brands in the industry. Brewers give the best advice in store, and on top of that, you can get 10% off your first and second purchase, plus trade rates and free delivery when you sign up for a Brewers Pro Trade Card. A massive thanks again to Brewers for supporting the Talking Tradesman podcast and helping us raise mental health awareness throughout construction and beyond. Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, Laura was actually, bless her, still in the closet. So she'd had one or two dates, short relationships or whatever, but she wasn't out to her parents. So that was an interesting story. But no, we got on well, and she lived about half hour away, so I'd go and stay at her flat. She had her own flat, so I'd go and stay there because I was living in my parents' at the time. So I'd go and stay there a lot. We'd do nice things, and we went to Goa. 5 months later, got engaged in a waterfall, as you do.
Got engaged in a waterfall?
In a waterfall, yeah.
Who proposed to who?
I proposed to her. It was the day before my birthday. And we'd been out for dinner, and we were just looking around the shops, and there was a jewellery shop, and she'd spotted a ring, and there was no talk of it. Look at that ring, wow. And I went to her, it looks like an engagement ring or something, and we were just laughing, but she didn't know that the following day I was going to
Pop the question. Fair play.
So yeah, so now it's been interesting, really, and I suppose I was in a really good place when I met Laura, and I sort of had enough of partying and that. So we moved pretty quick. We moved in together, got engaged after the 5 months. A lot of friends were funny about it. Again, gay girls are a different breed, but a lot of my friends got quite jealous because I was the party one. But again, not the drugs at this point, just being out drinking, making the plans, and all of a sudden, because I was sort of stepping away to sit in and watch a film, people didn't really like it, so there was a bit of friction there. So lost a lot of friends with that.
It's a tough one though, Rhea, isn't it? Like, were they friends or were they just drinking buddies?
Exactly.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's people don't like the status quo being rocked, do they? So like, if you're one kind of way, people don't. You know, I've had the same thing. I've moved through different sort of like groups of what I would have referred to as mates as my
Yeah.
life has progressed.
Yeah.
You know, I've done the standard lad culture stuff, the drinking, the football, all that kind of stuff, and I don't see any of those lads anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I think if you can adopt like an attitude of people just come and go in life,
Yeah.
that's it. You know, I know that it's me as much as them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
changed, I've changed what I do,
Absolutely.
they've changed, and I think if you can just let people do that, like let
Mm.
people pass.
Yeah, of
Like
course.
some stay, some go, some stay, some go for a bit and come back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is what it is, man. Like life's too short to get resentful, I think,
Absolutely.
over
Yeah. Yeah.
people choosing different paths, you know?
Absolutely. And your paths always don't stay the same, do they? I mean, one of my
Mm,
really, really good friends, I got a little job in a hairdresser's when I was like 13, 14. And she's still one of my really good friends now. We are the complete opposites. We are chalk and cheese, but we've been the best of friends for years and years. And she only lives up the road, but she's got kids, grandkids, married and that. We don't always see each
mm,
other, but she's always been there from when I was that young, really.
yeah.
So, but yeah, the rest of them, as you say, you meet people and it's good for a bit and then you just drift. And
Mm.
that's fine, really. So,
It takes a strength, mate. I mean, to touch on, like, I know you said that you got into partying and you could leave the drugs alone.
yeah,
Particularly, look, construction industry, mate. It's like, drink and drugs are a massive part of the
yeah,
culture.
yeah, yeah.
Like anyone who says that that ain't the case is talking shit, basically, because it is. But part of the one of the hardest parts to step away from is that social side,
Yeah,
because you know all of a sudden if you aren't the one going to the pub
yeah,
drinking and doing a bit, um, you feel like you're leaving all your mates behind.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
like I say, if you step back and you actually go, well, in terms of a friend, are they friends or are they just acquaintances that
yeah,
are doing what I'm doing? Like people are scared to leave it because they think they're going to be alone,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you don't have to leave it. You can just replace it.
Yeah, of
So
course.
if you want to step, you've noticed, you know what, actually, I don't like this. I'm drinking, I'm doing drugs, it's causing problems.
Yeah.
And you want to change your lifestyle, you'll pick up new people
Mm-hmm.
where you move to. Like
Yeah,
if you,
absolutely.
right, I'll pick top of my mind at the minute because of tomorrow, but if you take up like hiking,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to meet people that enjoy hiking. So
Absolutely.
you're then going to create like a social circle
Yeah,
around your new life sort of circumstances,
definitely. Yeah.
you know, and that's it's worth knowing, you know, don't be scared. Basically, like you'll meet new people
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that are more in line with where you want to be.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like if you're not really a pub club person, well, don't be going there to try and find a partner. Do you know what I mean? If you're into like drawing or dancing, that's where you're going to find your people.
100%, yeah.
Definitely. No, I totally agree with that. So, but yeah, no, me and Laura just met online. But no, well, yeah, she used to come out with me and we'd do bits, but we'd have nice like days out, and it was all
Mm,
new and exciting and stuff. And then we went through the old rigmarole of Laura coming out, and that didn't go very well at
oh,
all.
really?
It was a big shock. Laura's like a really girly girl, or
Yeah.
was like hair, makeup, nails, all of that rubbish. It's just
All of
like,
that rubbish.
oh, it's not me at all. But it was a big shock, and she didn't. Her dad didn't accept it at all. That's kind of up to him, whatever. But
Mm,
there was a lot said and done, and they kind of accused me of I was going to come in and steal her flat, even though I had my own flat. Turn her into a butch lesbian. She's going to shave her head all. And again, I just think it was initial shock. Do you know what I mean? Her dad said a few things about me or whatever. So she didn't end up speaking to her dad for quite a while.
mm,
Her mum was between a rock and a hard place. Do you know what I mean? Really, really difficult situation for her. And she did make the effort still with Laura, but it was really, really difficult for them to still have proper relationship, and they've always sort of been close. So we went through a lot there, and actually my dad really stepped in and sort of Laura calls him like dad, or how's dad spoken to dad, they'll speak on the phone, whatever. So
mm.
my dad really took the role of dad for Laura, as such, and we went for IVF to have Tobias. So
That's it, because you guys have got a son.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
got Tobias. He's what is he now? 13. be 14 this year. How? So we went through IVF to have him, and Laura's dad didn't actually. They kind of made up a little bit initially, but it was very much like I wasn't spoken about. I wasn't to go round there, anything. So it was almost like this false relationship.
Mate, yeah.
But I never once said to Laura, "Oh, you're not going out. That's your life. You do you." Same as she don't tell me what to do. It's not damaging us and stuff. But we went through the IVF. She got pregnant and she started to get a belly. And I just said to her, "Babe, this is weird. You're going around there and you're like, what? Are you just getting fat? Like, is this what we're doing? Pretending?" Because Laura's family, they brush it under the carpet, people, whereas mine were always have the row.
Yeah.
Theirs was like, pretend it's not happening. So Laura made the decision then, like, well, do you know what I mean? If you're not going to accept Rhea, you don't even want to know about the pregnancy or anything. It's not normal. It's not natural. I'm going to stop coming round, It's not that I don't love you or don't want you to be part of it, but you're pretending that something's not happening. That is. We were married at this point as well. We had the civil partnership. He didn't come to that or anything. So, yeah, we got married, met in 2008, got married in the July of 2010, started the IVF December 2011, and then he was born in the September 2011. So we went through all of that, the wedding, the IVF journey, the pregnancy, and then he didn't meet Tobias until he must have been about 2.5, I suppose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Laura's mum came to the hospital after Tobias was born, and she would pop and see him and stuff. And even when it was weird, Laura was going to go around and have a big conversation with her dad, and I had dropped her off. I had Tobias in the car, and I was fine with Laura's mum. She was fine with me. We were going to go to the garden centre for a cup of tea with Tobias or whatever. And Laura's dad was like, "No, all come in." And I was a bit like, "Well, I don't really want to, but I'm not going to rock the boat." Do you know what I mean? Me and Laura can have a chat about this after. So we went in, but it was all brushed under the carpet, like nothing happened. There was never a conversation about it. And I just couldn't get my head around it. And again, it was kind of, we tolerated each other. Not as in like I didn't like him. It just, you ain't spoke to us.
It's hard for me. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine, mate.
Couldn't get my head around it.
But yeah, it's difficult. I guess if you're used to having it out and settling it and then moving on to, and I know the kind of people that you're talking about, it's just, I guess in his mind, he'd probably decided to make a change, but didn't want to have have it out bit.
I mean, again, that's sort of old school, maybe not really knowing how to have a conversation.
Thing, exactly that. Yeah,
all of it, So I don't begrudge him for that, but again, just a conversation, so everyone knows where they're at and boundaries and levels and stuff. So, I mean, he doted on Tobias after that, and Tobias doesn't ever remember him not being around, but he was never. Laura's mum would have had Tobias all day, every day, but he was never a grandparent that wanted. Laura's got a brother and a couple of kids there, but it was never kind of like, we'll have the kids for the weekend, we'll do this, we'll do that. It was kind of, if ever we asked them to babysit, it would be, all right, you drop him off at 4 p.m. Well, at that age, you'd be in bed at 6 p.m. And then we'd drop him off at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. There wasn't a lot of
time spent.
Yeah, all of that. Whereas my mum was the complete opposite. All the time in the world, digging up the garden and swimming and all of that. So our two worlds were just completely separate, It's taken a lot. Like, me and Laura have had to put in a hell of a lot of work into our relationship, because for a long time I was like, no, like 0 to 100 in a second, whereas Laura would be like, don't want to talk about it, or she just gets sarcastic, and that winds me up. So yeah, we've had to put a lot of work into our relationship anyway. Where am I going with this?
How, if you don't mind me asking, like, how was that whole IVF journey? Like,
do you know what?
How was just how was it for you guys, to be fair?
It was interesting. So we actually went to Harley Street. We went to the London Women's Clinic in Harley Street. And I don't even know where we'd heard about it, but we went along and there was like this seminar thing. Sorry.
No, you're cool.
And we went to that. Knew that we wanted to do it anyway. And the way that we did it is we used my eggs, we used
Okay.
a donor,
Yeah.
and then Laura carried to buy us.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we were one of the first ones in the UK to do it.
Right. Yeah, just getting my head around that. So your eggs, a
My
donor, and then Laura carried the pregnancy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So I can never be pregnant. Sod that. Not for me. No. So, but we wanted to have it like the best it could be.
Both
The
a
two
part
of
of
us,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we both had to be on meds. Like, keep headbutting this bush. We
Move it out your way if you want,
right.
Rhea, to be fair.
So we both had to be on like meds at the same time. I did this thing called like hyperstimulated. So obviously each month, women as a period releases one egg. The meds I was on, I ended up with 21 follicles, like egg sacs as such. So I was out. You would have thought I was pregnant. I was so ill with it.
Really?
So ill with it.
This is what I mean. Like, I don't know anything about the process, so I'm just genuinely like intrigued as to how it all works.
So they see that as a foreign object going into law regardless. So like talk about like, let's say a straight couple who were either using a surrogate or let's say put it into like you, me and Ange. Let's just say if there was something wrong with Ange's eggs or whatever.
Yeah.
So it would be a case of they get my eggs ready, take them out, use your sperm, put them together, but then Ange carries the baby.
Yeah.
She can't use her own eggs.
Yeah.
That's another way to put it.
So they
you know
implant the fertilized egg
embryo,
into obviously Laura in this case.
Yeah.
Like I guess the selection. I'm just going to ask the questions, mate, because I'm intrigued. But do you get to, in terms of the donor, do you get to pick anything? Like,
right,
do you have like I don't know, like a catalogue almost? Like, right, I want, a donor sperm coming from somebody that was this tall or this, like, how does that work?
Do you know what? Back in the day when we did it, it was basically they emailed you a sheet of paper or emailed you a thing, and it's got like the stats on it. So it had like height, eye colour.
Oh, really? It goes as far as eye colour?
Yeah. Ethnicity, job, hobbies, and that was pretty much it. And if you said no to that, then I think you got 3, and then after that you'd have to speak with the clinic or whatever. But if you go on that, if you go on to the London Sperm Bank, there's actually a website now. You can make a designer baby, literally. To a degree, like you can go on and pick and go through the profile like a menu now, which I suppose is better.
I mean, look, let's be honest. I guess if for example, let's just pick the easy one, colour.
Yeah.
Like if you guys are both white, then you're potentially going to want a baby that's the same colour for, I guess, social. I don't want to offend anybody by saying that, but like, social situations or whatever it might be.
Do you know what, Ross? Actually, we had quite a good gay friend and he was mixed race and he was beautiful. And we did have a slight discussion about it. So had we gone there, the child would have been, like the guy's dad would say, half Jamaican. So he was a quarter Jamaican. So then the child would have been an eighth or however you want to break it. But yeah, definitely, I suppose in those constructs, it would be like if you're walking around with a Chinese or whatever, a baby that doesn't look like you as such. It's questions.
Can I ask, like, have you guys, obviously with your son having 2 mums, have you ever had any, I don't know, like, has there ever been any issues with that in terms of people or comments or anything?
No, do you know what? It's actually quite a common thing now. I mean, at Tobias's nursery, there was 3 sets with 2 mums. At Tobias's primary school, there was a couple of sets.
Because we're going back a while as well, aren't we, Rhea? If he's 13,
he's 13,
14.
So, and it was the same year, but it was like the December-ish of 2011.
Yeah.
So, and it's come on a long way since then. But it is going back quite a ways. We've never had anything really. I mean, a lot of people used to turn around to Tobias and go, "Aren't you lucky you've got 2 mums?" I think they were just trying to, I don't know, when you tell a kid, "Oh, they're cute" or whatever. Some people will blatantly just turn around and go like, "Does he know his dad?" And it's like, that doesn't offend me because they don't know the words for it, but it's like, firstly, it's a donor, it's anonymous. Like, two of our friends, they actually shipped in sperm from America. They've got videos of the guy, they've got photos of the guy and everything.
Well, I know you've listened, but like to refer back, if I'm honest, I'm comparing what you've gone through with Rossi and how she, because very different.
Yeah,
like obviously she knows the donor and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm just genuinely interested by the process and how it all works. I guess
for us, we didn't want a third party involved. That was just our preference.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Plus, we wanted to do it all properly for a clinic. I mean, look, and you can't say it never happens, but it's like super sperm. So it's all vetted and tested, and then with all the blood tests. But that's the same as, say, if I was just donating to the clinic, they'll like refuse you with your family history and all stuff like that, you know. So yeah, basically we did all of that as such, and we ended up with 5 embryos, and they kind of grade them out of the 21 follicles. They put the sperm into them. I think we got 19 eggs. They put the sperm in, and then they grow them for a few days and see how they're forming, see how they're splitting.
Mad,
madness. Getting Laura's body ready then for to accept this foreign object. And yeah, so in the end we ended up with 4 really, really good graded embryos. So Tobias was fresh. He didn't get frozen.
Yeah.
So we went up and they put it into Laura, and then you have to do this 2-week wait, which is horrific. It's like there's a book on it and everything before you can do the pregnancy test.
Yeah.
And yeah, worked first time. Perfect. Amazing.
So do you, like when you say there's 4 embryos, did you have to pick which one?
Nah, they grade them for you.
Okay, so you just go with the top.
Pick it. Yeah, top. I mean, they were all really good, but I think Tobias was a bit special. He is special, bless him. But yeah, they picked like the best graded one. We wanted 2 put in initially, and they were like, no chance. These are such a good grade.
Oh, okay.
You're so young, fit, and healthy. You could end up with about like 8 kids or something.
Oh, really? What? So you could have had split.
Yeah.
So you could have had twins, or because that's quite common, isn't it? I think with IVF.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So and there's twins in my family as well.
Really?
So they were like 2 sets of twins.
My sister had twins. There's no twins in my family that I was aware of. She was the first pregnancy, and she ended up with twins.
Yeah. So they were like, nah, we're not doing that, because if you end up with too many, pregnancies can be bad, you know, if you've got like 4 inside you.
Yeah.
So Tobias came along, the other 3 got frozen, and then it was literally...
So is that like frozen for potential later use?
For later use, yeah,
okay.
For later use. So, mate, I could have bought a Ferrari instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we always kind of wanted 3 kids. We would have loved to have 3 kids.
Yeah.
That was before we had any kids.
Right, so you had Tobias and then 4.
Nah, so it was before we were like, 3 kids be amazing. So we had Tobias, and then we waited about a few months, maybe 6 months, and we were like, we'll go for it again. But actually, he was born emergency C-section. She had a really bad pregnancy, preeclampsia, high blood pressure.
Oh, right.
They delivered him early and stuff. He was fine. But there was a lot of scar tissue. So when we went to go up and they stick this thing in with a big flexible needle through microscope, it's amazing to watch. They couldn't get it in past the scar tissue. So they brought it back, put it back through the hatch, and it's only allowed to be out of its liquid or whatever for a couple of minutes, if that. So they tried again, and we knew then that one was a sort of no, and they advised us then for Laura to go and have a little op to soften or move the scar tissue. So she basically had to go and have her insides pummeled to move the scar tissue, ready for the next try. So next try, again a few months later, perfect. There should have been no reason why it didn't work. It just didn't work. It didn't take. And then the same thing happened with the 4th. We ummed and ahed about the 4th embryo. Tobias was getting on a little bit then. And we didn't want a huge age gap. So we ummed and ahed, and we said, no, we'll do it. Like, we obviously want more children. So we did that. Again, no reason why it shouldn't have taken, but it just didn't take. So then still
must have been an emotional roller coaster every
for
time.
those sort of like few years of just being in limbo was a lot. It was a lot, you know. So put aside like the financial aspect, the wanting and needing, not needing, but the wanting more children, the not knowing and all the rest of it. It was a lot. Yeah, a hell of a lot. So then we were going to go for it all again, and I had to go back up to Harley Street for more blood tests, and they messed my blood tests up twice. And then we sat down and had a conversation. I think Spice was about, what was he, about 3.5 at that point, I suppose. Maybe 4. And we had, no, it was about 3.5. And we had the conversation, and we were like, Laura was like, I'm done. Like, you know, that sort of urge has gone. And I was like, do you know what? I think something's trying to tell us, you know, with that lot all not working, then they've messed my blood test up twice. Like, do you want to shut the door on it? And we agreed. And then from shutting the door on it, the weight comes off your shoulder, and we could just crack on in life.
Do you know what, Ria? I mean, not knocking anyone, that having families is a massive personal choice, but I think if you have one kid, you can do a lot more for them. Obviously your attention is 1, not 2, and financially as well. And in today's day and age, like with the cost of everything, the cost of life, and being able to support them, I guess, as they move forwards in life, it's not. And I've got 2 kids, and that's me saying that. But yeah, there's something to be said, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, again, I don't want to go off on this mad tangent, but I've looked at a few of these like studies recently where they're talking about the world's population actually dropping now, and there's certain countries that are actually in a decline.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you have 2 parents, to be level, you'd have to have 2 kids to replace the 2 parents. So to be in excess, 2 parents would have to have 3 kids.
Yeah.
But most people now are having 1 or less. There's quite a trend for people having no kids now.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it, with the cost of... I mean, looking back now in hindsight, it's like with all the travel we do and stuff, we would not have been able to do that, probably even with 2 kids.
Oh, it's mad.
So,
The cost of a family holiday, mate, mad.
It
really is. That they completely batter you for it. And that's not to say that a family holiday is the most important thing, but I think there's considerations I would have now in life, and it's not just money, it's like time.
Yes.
Because I feel personally that I'm really time poor now.
Yeah.
And I just think society has changed so much.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have so much less to do in general.
Yeah.
So it was like you went out, you did your 9 to 5, but then once you got home, you were home. And you know, you could then be the parent or... I mean, I've said this on multiple podcasts, so you'll have heard me say it, but I've noticed my customer demographic change quite drastically. 20 years ago, I would work for a lot of housewife, husband at work couples.
Yeah.
Very rare now.
Exactly.
Very rare. It's normally both people in the relationship are out at work.
Definitely.
I work in a lot of empty houses because customers at work all day. Or the other end, you get the retireds. But the younger couples, I can't remember the last time I worked for a young couple where either one of them were a stay-at-home.
Nah.
It's dual. And then, how can I put it? They're no better off. Or, you know, I'm the same, mate. My house, exactly as me and Ange both graft. And I don't think we're better off, like, externally than what it would have been 20 years ago with one of us working.
Exactly that.
It's just the cost of everything. I think when you bring kids in and you look from above and think, well, if I'm going to have kids, I want to be able to give them... I want to experience being a parent, for one. I want to have time to be a parent, and I want to give them a good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's just getting so fucking hard. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, again, because Tobias was planned and stuff, Laura had a long time off. I think he went to nursery when he was about 15 months, so she was off with him. And that was great, but we'd obviously managed to save up a long time and stuff. And but when we put him into, he went in like just part-time. And by the end of it, when he was in preschool, the year before sort of nursery, it's like $1,000 a month. Just on that. And that was however many years ago, 9, 10
Can you imagine having 2? And it gets to the point where I think you'd look at it and think, is it worth me working?
Yeah.
Because if you're paying out $1,500 to $2,000 a month in childcare, you've got to earn some serious money to actually go. Because you don't, let's be honest, you don't want to put both your kids in childcare and work for a full month, come home with 400 quid.
Nah.
Well, it's not worth it, is it?
No chance.
So it's tough. It's, you know, I'm sat here now and looking at, obviously, my son, and my daughter, and that they're going to grow up in this world now where everything's so different. And yeah, it's a weird one to talk about, like, declining populations, but
Yeah,
with the way the world is, you can understand why.
this is it. It's I don't know. Do you know what as well, with like, because we do a lot of traveling and stuff, and I think material stuff plays a lot into it, where obviously the cost of living is expensive, but when you go to places like Thailand and India where they're not bothered about what they're wearing, what they're driving, they're just happy to be able to eat a hot meal. I don't know, with society and social media and all of this sort of stuff, I think a lot of people are trying to keep up the Joneses as well,
Oh,
which
100%. Yeah.
makes it really, really difficult.
We were talking, weren't we, pre-record, about social media and the. I think I said it's almost interesting in a morbid way to stand back and go, in 10, 20 years' time, I think social media is going to be responsible for so many new mental health issues,
Yeah, definitely.
because people are building their entire value system around recognition on social
Yeah, of
media,
course.
response on social media, likes, followers, and all that kind of
Yeah,
jazz. And people are really so invested in that. It's a whole new thing.
it
Like,
is.
we're almost like generation experiment, because it's not been studied because it's only been around for so long. But if you look back maybe in a couple hundred years and they look at the psychological effects of the connectivity that we now have,
Good, yeah.
it'll be interesting to see.
Even with like the attention span and all of that
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
it's crazy. There is no attention span anymore, for
No.
no patience. It really kicks into real life, It's, remember when we were a kid and you used to have to wait a whole week to watch the next episode?
Yeah.
And now Tobias will have like a little divvy if the thing on the screen is spinning for too long. And I'm like,
Yeah,
mate,
exactly.
you can literally pick whatever you want
Everything is
when you want. Yeah,
available.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So all of that as well. It's
But this is a lot, man. We honestly, I could talk about this for hours. But I've studied evolutional
yeah,
psychology. But we talked about it earlier. You look at society and where it's gone from meeting in pubs in person,
yeah.
and now nobody really does that because we feel that we've got everything at our fingertips. So
Yeah,
we feel we're connected, but we're not.
not at all.
We're probably less connected to each other than we have been for hundreds of years.
Definitely,
Because we
definitely.
don't do this.
Yeah,
Like this, sitting with you now, both our phones are on silent.
yeah,
It's an alien thing now.
absolutely. I mean, that's it. Some of my friends who like might live down in Brighton or whatever, some of them just they've got young kids. We're all working. I've not physically seen them in 2 years
Mm,
because we can have a quick phone call or a FaceTime.
yeah.
Whereas
It's
before all of
deceptive
that
though, Rhea,
aside,
isn't it? Because I've got mates, and I'm guilty of doing this. I've got friends who I have on social media who are kids, lads. I say kids, lads, men that I grew up with.
yeah,
Um, and I feel that I'm connected to them because I can see that, on Instagram or Facebook, oh, they went to Tenerife with the family last week.
exactly.
So I feel that I've checked in with.
Yeah,
I haven't made any
yeah,
contact,
yeah,
but in my
absolutely.
head, I'm going, oh yeah, I know what's going on with them.
Yeah,
Whereas before, when we weren't that connected and couldn't have this sort of zoomed out view on people's lives, you'd be more inclined to ring them up and go,
yeah,
all right, mate, I haven't seen you in a while. How's things?
yeah,
What are you
yeah, yeah.
doing? Because you'd want to catch up.
That's it.
I think social media now has stopped that. Like, you don't feel the need to catch up because you can see it
Because
all.
you see it all.
But
Yeah,
from that person's perspective, or say if it was me, I don't know my mate has looked at my Facebook
no.
and seen that I've been to wherever and has actually, almost like checked in kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, see how Russ is. Oh, it looks like he's doing well.
yeah.
And that's the danger as well, because it can look like you're doing well when you
But
ain't.
no, this is it. It's a scary world. Do you know what? With Tobias, he's got no social media. He's not interested to have it.
Okay.
What he does do is he plays on the old gaming and stuff. We have to limit it, but he does talk to people online and that, a lot of his friends, and then we always are checking what he's doing. But he does a lot of building of these maps, and it's not
Hmm.
long before he's going to be monetizing in whatever this thing is that he's doing. We sit down and talk about it,
Hmm.
and I'm like, if you're already about to do that at 13 years old, and you can tell, I'll say to him, come off the computer, and it's the attitude goes a little
Yeah.
bit, or if his mates come round and stuff, it's like in their bag automatically is the iPad or the VR headset. It's
Yeah.
like, why?
Frightening, mate, isn't it?
Come over and like we'll make some cookies, or
yeah,
it is madness.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, my daughter's the one at the minute because I haven't. Listen, I'll be honest. I haven't got any control because she lives with my ex and lives in Devon. But I've noticed her, like, she's growing up so quick, man. It's terrifying. I love her to bits. She's so emotionally intelligent. She's a lovely person. But I've noticed, like, the last couple of months now, it's all WhatsApp groups, and like it's constantly like, this person's done this, and she'll sit and talk about it, and she's like, but she's constantly now on the phone, and very much you can tell there's that, like, I can't remember where we went, and it was like, I've got no service, I can't, and you could see that little bit of anxiety creeping in of like, I'm missing out because I can't connect. And that's a worry.
It's crazy.
But how do you stop it? Because if I were to, not that I could, right, but theoretically, if I turned around and was like, right, you're not doing that, have your phone off you, or you're not allowed on WhatsApp, or you're not allowed, they're then like excluded from the way their social circle works now. You take them out of that, are you then exposing them to bullying? Oh, man, it's so hard.
It is, and then you're the bad cop, do you know what I mean? So, I mean, with Tobias the other week in the half term, it was like getting blood from a stone, getting him to book a cinema trip with one of his mates to go and see the new Mike. Like, they actually spoke on the phone, and it was alien for them to actually have a chat on the phone, to arrange to meet up, to not be just when they're playing on their game together and they're talking, it's coming out, they're fine, and now we have to make plans. And I was just like, oh my God, there's no social. Tobias is good, like, again, where we've dragged him around the world, he could sit here and have a better conversation with you than what I could. He's so articulate, wise beyond his years and stuff, but
bring him in for episode 2, Rio. We'll sit down.
Absolutely.
The youngster's perspective. It's interesting. Gotcha. It's like, I don't know. There's a part of me that goes, because I think we all romanticise our own childhood.
Yes.
And I think, I've like worked your age out. We're pretty much the same. And we come from that generation that, like, one of the last generations that ever experienced not knowing what social media was and having our childhood offline. However, that's not the world now. You can't do nothing about that. So there's a part of me going, I want to give my kids what I had.
Yeah.
But there's also the reality of that's gone now.
It's gone.
It's gone. It's never coming back.
They don't want it.
Nah. Yeah. So do you actually now just actually have to adapt and go, well, actually your life, your social life is different.
Yeah.
And like the way you're going to socialise is going to be different. And you've got to accept that.
It's so hard.
It is.
So hard. It is mad.
Gone off on a right tangent, haven't we, mate? Yeah, of course, man, absolutely. Well, you're ruining it all now, Ria. That's fine, of course you can. And we're back. Part 2. Ria's had a costume change.
I was getting a bit chilly, and I went to the loo.
But yeah, we're back for part 2 of the conversation. We were just talking about the sort of things that you want to get into the conversation, the important stuff. So let's do that, mate.
Yeah, sure. So. I mean, with all that said about going through the drugs and all the rest of it, I definitely have to watch my drinking myself. It's easy to sort of come home from work after a hard day's work, half day's graft, and neck a couple of beers and that. And I mean, both my parents have been through alcoholism, and my mum's very much actively into it now, so I do have to watch the drinking because I don't want to end up going down that slope. I replaced the drugs with the drink. Then I knocked it all on the head. I was really good and it didn't fuss me either way, but trying to keep myself really busy, like with the social media and everything as well. I've added like an extra 2 days worth of work to my week.
It's a business on a business, isn't it?
It's gone unreal, really. So in that sense, as they say, like the devil makes work for idle hands. So my hands aren't idle anymore as such. But yeah, I still have to. It's easy to slip into a few beers every day after work, and then all of a sudden it's like, hang on, I've had a beer every day for 3 weeks. So that's quite easy to do. But yeah, unfortunately now my mum, she's fully in the grips of alcoholism.
How did that sort of take its grip, as it were?
So she went through a full gastric bypass.
Okay.
Yeah, when Tobias was He was born in the September.
Is that the weight loss operation?
Yes.
Was that the purpose of it?
That was the purpose.
Okay.
She was never into junk food, fast food. Like when I was a kid, it was never McDonald's, KFCs and that. It was just like large volumes of food, few drinks and stuff. And she'd got really big. So she tried all sorts to lose all the weight and it just wasn't happening. And kind of, she had no health issues as such, you know, no problems. But I suppose before she wanted to end up with problems, it was a last ditch attempt to have this gastric bypass, the full sort of removal of half of the stomach or whatever it is. And I was told a week before it happened, this is what's happening.
Oh, really?
And when I tried to question it, but I'm doing it anyway, man. There was no conversation. The only thing I'd heard about it was people die on the operating table.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
really,
a big
really
op.
risky. Yeah, big time. What the doctors never sort of explained was from having, I guess, a food addiction of some sort, when you can't have that food, because she, after the op and that, she could hardly eat at all. And then when she did eat, she'd get tired. And a lot of people swap it for drink or drugs. And she swapped it for drink. And it just progressively got worse and worse and worse over time. So this happened. Tobias was born in the September. She had the operation in the December, and she went out to Goa in the January, which was really close, like after an op where there could be complications. So yeah, it just sort of got hold of her, and we noticed it more and more. Not a very happy drunk, should we say. There was a lot of verbal abuse, and I would wake up to messages like at the weekend and stuff of just she'd been on a drunken whatever.
Really?
Yeah, wake up and there was a load of crap, but it was few and far between. Like, she was the best nan to Tobias, put a lot of time and effort into him, and it was things like that. Me and Laura wanted the rare date night, and I mean, it was rare. She'd come over to ours and babysit him, and then we'd get back and she'd be half pissed. Right, everyone can have a beer or two, whatever. And then it just got worse and worse. And then a couple of times my dad had said, like, when Tobias was staying over there, he'd be watching a film and she'd be out in the kitchen having a drink. Or he'd be up in bed at 6 p.m, 7 p.m. as a small child, and Dad would come down to the smell of burning, and where she'd been drinking, she'd like fall asleep and there'd be like a pan of spuds or something burning on the stove. And it just progressed and progressed. And I probably let it go on for a bit too long. But in the end, I had to cut the ties of their relationship. Me and her were on and off for years. And my dad was like, it's getting really, really bad. And we all went to go, and my dad didn't come. It was me, Laura. Oh, did we meet my mum out there, I think? Me, Laura and Tobias. It was Laura's birthday, so we went out for dinner. And then I took Tobias back. He was only, can't remember how old, 4 maybe. And they came in late. They were only around the corner, and they were having a few more drinks. I could hear them when I was sort of asleep. Anyway, we had a trip booked the next day, and I got up at 6 a.m. She was still in the kitchen, pissed out of bed, like still drinking.
Been on it all night.
And that was the first time, like, Laura had come to bed at like 2 or something, had a good night, whatever. She was still up drinking and stuff, so I put her to bed, and that she was rough the next day. But that's the first time I'd seen it like properly with my own eyes. I knew semi what was going on, and it just got worse and worse over the years. And then it was things like I've stopped her seeing Tobias, and I had no choice in the end. As I said, I probably let it go on a year to 2 years too much. And then a lot of the verbal abuse, it was like making out a lot of stuff was my fault, and she was very controlling as well. As I said, like, it was always sort of, she thought she knew best by me, as I said, when I was young, and I'd always run stuff by her, or her way was better than my way, you know. And it just all started taking a toll, like full grown up. So we come to a lot of blows and that, and then I woke up to whatever an abusive message was, and we've fallen out loads. And I said, look, if you carry on, I'm just going to block you. I'd said that to her like 2 weeks before. Woke up on a Sunday, been grafting all week, and the Saturday, woke up to that. Said to Laura, look, I just said, nah. So I just messaged back, look, asked you politely, stop abusing me, blah, blah, blah. So I'm now going to block you. Take care of yourself. Blocked her. I never spoke to her again.
Wow.
There was other things, Russ. It was Tobias's 6th birthday, let's say. No party, nothing like that. It was in the middle of the week or whatever. So picked him up from school, probably took him for a bit of food, couple of presents. And then my friend messaged me a bit later on, 8, 9 o'clock. Oh, have you seen Facebook, what your mum's put on there? I was like, no, what? So I went on, waiting to speak to my grandson on his birthday. She was going to be seeing him at the weekend or whatever. So then I've messaged her, like, what's this all about? Oh, no, I was messaging my friend. Somehow it's gone from direct message on to the thing. So I rang her friend. I knew her friend. She was like, I've got no idea what you're talking about. And there's a lot of lies coming through and stuff like that, you know. So she ruined, like, nights out. We were in Goa, and I think it was Valentine's night, because we were in Goa, me and Laura were going out for a meal. She got all dressed up. Mum was going to watch Tobias for a few hours while we just went for something to eat. And where she'd been drinking and that, she kicked off. She just stormed off. So we're there about to go out for something to eat. So, okay, there was lots of little things. She came to a really good friend of mine's wedding in Scotland. She wasn't invited to the wedding. She was just going to come up and watch Tobias. Tobias was a page boy. Laura was a bridesmaid up in this beautiful castle in Scotland and stuff. So my mum said, look, I'll come up with you and I'll watch Tobias so you lot can have the evening and that, whatever. And then my friend said, a couple of people haven't been able to make it, so if your mum wants to come. So I was like, yeah, sweet. But she knew that she had to drive him. So after the wedding, you have, like, the drinks when people are having pictures. So she had one drink, fine. And then we were sitting down for the meal and she had one more drink. And now when you've had the gastric bypass, stuff gets absorbed into your system really quickly. So one glass of wine would be like 3 glasses of wine. Same with beer or whatever. You get drunk a lot quicker. It affects you a lot quicker. I suppose the same with maybe caffeine and whatever. So she'd had the glass earlier and then she had one at dinner. And I said to her, like, it was about a mile away to the accommodation, but I said, no more drink. You've got to drive to Bias in about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, I went outside to have a cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but I went out to have a cigarette and she was outside having another glass of wine. So, what are you doing? And then people are having general photos outside and it was in the big archway of this church thing. So what are you, like, you got to drive to Bias. Like, what are you doing? It's not even about I've caught you. Like, you're supposed to drive your grandson. Yeah. She just booted off. She got the glass of red wine and just tipped it all over the floor like that. In front of all my friends' family. I was just like, anyway, she stormed off. She was pissed at this point then. So she went driving off and that. Only there to watch Tobias, do you know what I mean? He's good as gold anyway. He was enjoying the music and stuff. And then she comes back like hours later, still half pit. Oh, take him. I know you fucking won't take him. He's staying with me. But that was loads of things like that happening, you know. So there was a big strain and toll on our relationship.
It puts you on edge, doesn't it? Because you're constantly watching and thinking, because it's horrible, isn't it? You don't want to have to pull somebody on that. You don't want to have to say to somebody, like, you're drinking too much.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a nice position to be in, and it's the anxiety around it, of the worry. Are they going to?
Yeah.
You know, and it's horrible because I don't think there's a part of you that doesn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
They don't want to accept actually this person is an alcoholic or has a problem or is putting alcohol above your relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a rough ride, mate.
That's a hard pill to swallow because, like, I did so much learning and research and stuff all on the alcohol, and it's when it sort of grips you, it's not that they're making the choice to put it above you. Do you know what I mean? And it took Laura a hell of a long time to get her head around that. And then I obviously had to stop the relationship between Tobias and my mum, and I got all of that guilt and stuff.
Yeah.
So I took Tobias. My dad's moved back to Ireland now. And I took Tobias over there 2 Easters ago, just me and him, going to see my dad for a week. And he hadn't mentioned my mum at all since not seeing her. And
how long's your dad not seen her?
think my dad saw her. He was over last year and he was staying
Yeah.
at the family house,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's
So
not
are they
great when he's there.
together or
Nah,
not?
nah,
They're not together.
nah,
Yeah.
not at all. He just sort of packed up and moved to Ireland to the house over there.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a sort of a thing. He just went there and didn't come back, to be fair,
Right.
and I don't blame him. He was always going to retire back over there, you know, so yeah, so I had the opportunity then, just me and Tobias, and I said to Laura, look, it feels like a good time to ask him why he's not asked about his nan. So, and Laura's still a little bit, let's brush it under the carpet. I said, no, like he's not asked about his nan, and he absolutely worshipped the ground she walked on, as did.
Yeah.
So there's something not right here. So we went for a little walk along the cliffs, and I said, mate, like, you haven't seen your nan in a bit, have you? No. But you haven't asked about her or spoke about her. And he went a bit funny. He was 9 at the time when I, 9? No, 11 when I spoke to him. And I had to sort of tease it out of him. And he said, well, Nan said that you had it in for her. I mean, these are Tobias's words, and this is me repeating what I can
Yeah.
remember. So it might not be 100% accurate. Well, Nan said that you had it in for her. And if I say anything to you, that you will stop me seeing her. Whatever way it was worded, it was like twisted back round that it would be my fault. And not that he said anything more than that, but it was kind of, that's why he hadn't mentioned to see her, or why am I not seeing my nan, because he didn't know if it was a permanent or a temporary thing.
Yeah.
So he thought maybe he might be making it worse if he mentions it. And she said that to him like when he was 9 years old, because
Yeah.
he'd already not seen her for the 2 years, and I spoke to him when he was 11. So this is what I mean by like the toxicity of it when you're saying that to a 9-year-old grandson.
Those things, and they stay planted, don't they? It's like planting a seed,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
So I had to like sit down to this 11-year-old at the time and
Explain it.
try and have this chat about, it's not that your nan doesn't love you. Never ever badmouthed her to Tobias. Would never do that, you know. She loves you very much, but unfortunately, and he'd burst out crying. What? Well, why can't she just stop? Why is she choosing the drink over me? Because how do you explain that to
Yeah. Mate, it's
a
a
small
horrible
mind?
disease. It really is. And part of like what you said regarding the food, that moving on to the alcohol, the problem with that is that that's an addiction born of something before
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
there'll be some underlying reason for the addiction.
yeah, of course.
But if you treat just the symptom, which would have been the first
Yeah,
addiction, like you say, quite often that then just
it leads
translates
into
onto the
something
next
else.
thing.
Absolutely.
So without going all the way back and treating the root, it's still going to just grow a new branch,
Yeah, of
essentially. It's not a
course.
bad analogy off the top of my head, that one. But yeah, that's the thing with traumas and addictions. And unfortunately, again, it's part of the like treatment process, because really there should have been maybe some kind of intervention stage medically before they offered a treatment as
Absolutely.
severe as that, where
Yeah,
they go, look, it's quite clear you have a food addiction.
yeah,
Can we offer you some therapy or something to try
yeah,
and get
yeah,
back
yeah.
to, well, why has this
Why
happened?
is it?
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. But I mean, off the back of that, now I haven't spoke to her. I mean, Tobias' school. Was he in? I don't. He hadn't started secondary school. He's one of the eldest in the year, anyway. So he was turned 11 in primary school, and his teacher, when we got back from Ireland or whatever, a few days back at school, and the teacher said, "Oh, he's burst out crying," and he said like something about his nan. So it was obviously playing on his mind after that to hear,
Yeah.
you know. And I like, if ever he asked me now, I'm like, look, mate, she does love you. Your nan was so good with you and stuff. It's just unfortunate that we can't have a relationship with her at the moment because of the way it is, you know. So it's horrible, and I'm basically grieving somebody who's still alive,
Yeah.
and that's been really difficult because she was a great mum, like growing up, spent all the time in the world with me. It's never like monetary and all of that, but it was a lot of time cooking, baking, gardening, little days out, go to Covent Garden every weekend and watch the street shows and sit and have chats. She was so good like that, you know. And to kind of lose her to this is, it's taken a lot of work for me to.
I'm sorry to hear that, mate, because
Yeah,
it's that what you just said there as well, to have to grieve somebody while they're still alive. Yeah, it's a rough one. It's a rough one, that.
Well,
I think,
I had like counselling about it and stuff because I'm a control freak within myself. So I'm like, so what am I going to do when she does die? How am I going to react? And it's like the not knowing. I also don't know her medical state right now. I know that she's had some quite bad drunken falls. A lot of her friends or people who know her who might be on my social media will drop a message. Oh, have you started speaking to mum yet? And it's like, they don't know the ins and outs of it, some of
yeah,
them, but it's just like, fuck off.
yeah.
It can get my back up a little bit because it's like if it was that easy, or if it took me years to fully cut the strings, you know, it's your mum at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mate, listen, I can resonate. I had that with my dad, 17 till 24, 7.5, 8 years. We didn't speak
yeah,
at all. Lived in the same town. Occasionally, I'd get the odd glimpse, or like you say,
yeah,
somebody would say something about, "Oh, I saw your dad the other day." Like, oh, all right, good for you.
yeah.
So yeah, listen, I can understand. I
Do you
can
know what?
understand
Even
all
like
that.
when I drive past their road or the road where she's living and that, or like I'd never go into that little Tesco's at
Just
almost
in
no
case,
chance.
yeah.
No. Just because it's not like I would ever want to be rude or horrible to her, but just the emotion. A
Yeah.
few times when I've even had to drive down their road or whatever, when my dad's best friend still lives down there, like my heart starts going and everything. It's a really like, because I haven't seen her in so long, it's quite easy not to block the emotion, but I don't want it to bring up new raw stuff. As I said, I haven't got a clue what state she's in. I know she
Yeah.
broke her wrist from falling over. I've got no idea.
There's an anxiety attached to that, though, isn't there? The not knowing is bad.
Yeah,
You know, I
absolutely.
remember. I don't think I've ever spoke about this actually. I remember when I was in the midst. It'd been years. I hadn't spoken to my dad, and the thing is, like, we were both in the same trade.
Yeah,
We're both decorators, working in the same town. And I remember I'd gone to B&Q for something. And normally, I don't normally use B&Q. I
yeah.
think it might have been like a day. Anyway, there was a reason I was there. I'd gone B&Q to get something. And I remember walking towards the tills and seeing this bloke. And like my old man, when I fell out with him, had got this moustache, right? He'd always had this tash. I'd only ever seen him with a moustache, like proper, I guess. I mean, I was born in 84, so it was like a 70s, 80s, the old porn star moustache, you know what I mean? So he'd never had a beard, but
Yeah,
had always had the
just that.
tash. And I think he'd always had it since he was a kid. So that was what I saw. Anyway, little did I know, over the time where we hadn't spoke, he'd got rid of
Oh,
this thing.
blimey.
And I remember I saw this bloke at the till, and he saw me, and I didn't recognise him.
Really?
And you know that weird, like, you know, when you look at somebody and you go, I know you from
Oh
somewhere,
my
and
God.
there's that eye contact, and going through my head, I'm like, is it a
Yeah,
customer? Do I need to say hello to this person? So I was kind of like neutrally faced while my head's going, who is this? Who is this? And then the light bulb. And I remember just looking away and being like, oh, what the fuck? That was a massive head trip
oh
for me.
my God.
And I remember I was very angry at the time in general. So my natural reaction then would have probably been aggression.
Yeah,
So I remember just instantly the burn in my chest and just being like the anger boiling up. And to be fair, he looked at me, and I don't know whether he'd even remember this now, but he looked at me in kind of like it was a very like almost remorseful kind of way.
yeah,
It was like he had clocked me. Obviously, he hadn't seen me in years, and I think had I have gone up to him at that moment, we probably could have buried whatever
yeah.
was going on, because he was very apologetic about the situation with us. But yeah, I remember that now. I still remember that moment, because the feelings that come up, and I remember I just went to the till, got what I was doing. I might
Yeah,
have even
yeah.
left. I might have even not bought what I'd
Yeah,
gone to
yeah,
buy.
yeah.
I just got out of there. But yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's funny because I think for me, I can only speak for me, but I buried a lot of it at the time because of that. You don't know, and that
Yeah.
there was a part of me that was very angry, and a big part of me that was very like probably there was a part of me that was worried, concerned,
Yeah.
not really knowing what's going on. You got that like fear of I don't know, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult. Like, I've been through the counselling with it. I've done a lot of deep diving with books, and I've heard you say a few times you take value out of the traumas in your life.
Yeah,
And, you know, I don't, with me and I mean, obviously I wish my mum better tomorrow, but in all of these years that I haven't spoken to her and all of the deep work I've ended up doing from it has just brought me out so much stronger as a person. I mean, I said to you there, some of the books like the Chimp Paradox and what's the other one?
The Power of Now.
That's it. That's a hard listen. That is, Jesus, chapter at a time.
To anyone listening, those are two incredible books. And like you said it, life changing. I said the same. There was one more that I read called The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday.
I've been trying to get through that one.
Yeah, those three for me were really key to my mindset. Yeah.
I mean, all of it. I did the Mel Robbins, the Let Them theory.
I've read that.
It's quite cool as well, you know. And then sometimes when I'm on it, Tobias, and then I've just got to go to myself, like, shut up, just let him.
Yeah,
just let him.
Yeah.
And
I do the same, mate. Yeah.
You know, so the work that I've done on myself and the change in myself. Like you, I don't like taking praise and the rest of it, but like probably one of the first times I'm ever sort of going to say it, but I'm really proud of myself and where I am now. Do you know what I mean? Compared to me, I could have not been here from 21 years old to could have been.
And there's that flip side, and this is where the value in trauma comes in, because as horrible as it is that you've been through that with your mum, it's that situation that's made you do certain work.
Yeah, definitely.
That has now created the person sat here today.
Absolutely. And do you know what? If she went and got the help tomorrow, or if she like got hold of me and said, I'm willing to do the work, then I'd go through it with her. I don't have anger to her, or like I miss my mum at the end of the day. A lot of time has passed, so it's not raw emotion, but it's not like an ideal situation, is it? Do you know what I mean? So
you miss the mother that you had prior to the the addiction.
That and Tobias is missing out as well, and she absolutely adored him and was so good with him, so he's missing out. I mean, my dad's good as gold. He literally is one of my best mates. Like, we've been through it. I've had a left hook off him once or twice, all my own fault, squaring up to him, thinking I'm the big I am, and he's brought me down a peg or two. Well deserved, believe me. But my dad's softened over the years. He's brilliant. He's so good with me, Laura, Tobias. I can talk to him about anything. You know, we've been through the ringer together. I'm just glad he's out of it. I think the stress would have killed him very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think he's stayed to make sure that I was all right in my life and journey. Because I used to say to him, Dad, move back to Ireland. You've got a beautiful house on the edge of the cliff, looking out at the sea. It's just stunning where he is, you know, and his family's all around. And there was always sort of something stopping him going full time, and it wasn't monetary. So I'm glad he's gone. And when he comes back, I do worry. Like, actually, he said the next time he comes back, can he stop him with us? Of course he can, but he's got a Great Dane, and I've got a French Bulldog, and my French Bulldog fancies his Great Dane. So it's just constant.
That's a combination, mate.
Constant ankle hugging, should we call it? So it's a lot, but yeah, of course, I'd rather him stay with me than go back into the family house as such. So yeah, it's.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ria. It's just one of them shitty situations that I hope one day it works itself out for you. It did for me, but it all comes down to the person wanting to change themselves, because you can't fix.
No, of
you
course.
won't be able to fix your mum.
I spent years doing that, trying to fix, trying to help, trying to, and allowing a lot of stuff. And as you said, they've got to get to rock bottom and then hopefully have the strength to climb back up. You know, she's got one or two good friends around her still.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's like you can give her the ladder to climb, but she's got to climb it herself.
Absolutely, yeah.
I get it, 100% get it completely. But yeah, I'm. Well, again, thank you for like sharing that, because I know it's emotional, I know it's painful as well. But there'll be other people listening that have been through or going through similar things, and it's nice sometimes to just know. Like, I'm sat here now thinking there's so many similarities between what I've gone through and what you're still going through. So yeah, appreciate you sharing it.
Like, my dad, he was strong. He came out of it. He wasn't in it a long time. I just think his was that quick downward spiral of not knowing how to deal with his emotions on having all of those deaths all at once. He come out of it, I'd say within, I don't even know now, 2 years, I suppose. He literally like mad into it and mad out of it. But my dad's like that. He used to smoke as well. He bought a pack of 20 fags, fresh, lit one up, something like that, threw them out the window. Never again, just stopped like that. And then he was the same with the drink in the end. He's got some grit and determination when he wants to. He's cool.
It's like a superpower that can work both ways, that though, isn't it? Because it's like you can stop it like that, but you can also start something like that as well.
I think when he stopped the drinking and that, he didn't socialise for a long time, and he wouldn't be the most sociable anyway, like going to a wedding or a party, and that wouldn't interest him. But actually, while he's out in Ireland now, some of the family drink, but there's the lovely get-togethers and that.
The Irish love a drink as well. That's the thing.
Oh, mate, I was out there in October, unfortunately, for an uncle's funeral, but we gave him a send-off and a half. Oh, my God. But now my dad can enjoy the party, and he's not at all. He'll sit there and have a cup of tea or an orange juice or something,
That's
and
cool.
he's sort of enjoying it in that sense. So no, it's good. I do love it. I love traveling, mate. Absolutely love traveling. So that's my thing with me. I am literally like work, travel. We will go out. We'll have a nice meal, whatever around here. But I'm not into the materialistic. It doesn't do it for me. And I work a lot, and it's not for the monetary value, but the holidays that we have and the experiences to give to Tobias, and that family time, the quality time. That's what it's all about, you know. Took him to Goa when he was 16 months old. That was his first sort of big trip.
Yeah.
And then Thailand, we spent
so much value in that.
There really is, and the thing is, it's not like we go and stay in these 5-star resorts or anything. It's like we go and we'll get like a hut on the beach there and eat with the locals and all of that. It's brilliant. Just teaching him culture, showing him what people don't have in the world, you know. And he'll take his old books and games and toys and he'll give them out to the local kids and all of that sort of stuff. It's fantastic. So we've done a lot of travelling with him, and it's helped as well. Like he could, as I said, just sit down and have a conversation with anybody about anything. He's a wise boy, you know. So
sounds like you're doing a great job, to be fair, in just giving him that big picture. You say you're trying. It's like, if only there was a guide, you know, to being a good parent. And not only that, as I said before, like we're kind of up against it because we didn't live our childhood in this world.
Yeah. No,
so
totally
it's hard for a modern day parent really to know exactly what's right and wrong to do when everything is changing. What feels like weekly sometimes.
It really is.
Like there's a new on-trend thing, and is that good for your kids? Is that bad for your kids? And
you know what? Even down to the fact they do their homework on a laptop now and email it in, and I'm like, you do what?
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I'll touch on this briefly. I won't go into too much detail on some of it, but there was a big issue. My lad, when he was at school prior to him living with me, and the system they were using, it would like notify the parent if there was less than a certain percentage of the homework done prior to it even being due in. And that was causing real issues for him at home because the parent was getting notifications and it was kicking things up. And I actually had to ring the school and be like, look, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you're sending all these notifications every 2 minutes. Like if he sneezes, you seem to send an email now.
Yeah.
And you don't realise that given a certain circumstance, that could be an issue.
Gotcha.
And I had a real issue with the high school at the time over it. But yes, it's a different world. Like you say, the homework's done on computers, it's monitored. And listen, man, I was never one for homework. I was that kid in the morning, like, who's done the homework?
Give it over.
That's it. Who's done it? I'll just change let me have your homework. I'll change a few words, I promise. You know.
Touching on like schools and that, so Tobias now 13, he's coming up to finish year 8. So starting year 7, it wasn't our first choice of school, but the school he went to didn't seem like it was having any issues. It just wasn't the school he wanted to go to. He's so like academic. He wanted the school that did the 3 sciences, not just 2, which
Okay.
is why he wanted to go to this other school. So anyway, he started year 7. A few of his friends have gone there, and within the first 3 months, I had a list of paper, because I am a notepad person, and it had all the dates and times of incidents that had happened. In someone threw something at him, fine, whatever, but someone threw something at him. It had hit him in the head. He'd picked it up and put it in the bin, then told the teacher, and the teacher told him off for not keeping can of Coke as evidence. We'd been in and had a meeting with that teacher the day before about a different bullying incident, and he sat there and said to Tobias, look, you can come to me if you've got any issues. Come to him the next day.
And that's what happened.
So I'm like, right, check that on the CCTV. I think I had in 3 months, I think it was something like 27 incidents. Some of them absolutely minor, but some of them a bit more. Anyway, it resulted in him having a knife pulled on him in school. It was only one of those, I say only, it was still a threat.
Listen, mate, a knife is a knife.
It was one of them like canteen knives anyway. And this was, Tobias, it was right at the beginning of lunchtime. So he'd just finished PE and his locker was upstairs. So he was heading to his locker, put his PE kit away and go and have lunch. So the kids had like pushed him. This is all on CCTV. The kids had pushed him up against the wall in a few places until he turned into the stairwell. Then there was no camera covering that, but there was a few witnesses. And the knife got pulled on him and he got threatened with it. So as I said, it was right at the start of lunch. So the kid already had this on him maybe from break time or for however long. So we'd already pulled him out of the school on 2 different occasions for...
Yeah.
He had the piss taken out of him for having 2 mums, and they were filming him, that was it, and doing that. We're going to put it on social media, and that upset him a bit. So I pulled him out for that and said to the school, I want the phones checked, blah, blah, blah. One teacher said the phones had been checked, another one said the phones hadn't been checked or the screens were crap, we couldn't find anything. A lot of lies going on. Anyway, this knife thing happened, so I pulled him out. Laura's dad passed away the following day after battling with an illness. So we're dealing with that, dealing with this, trying to speak to Laura about it, bless her. So much. Anyway, we said to the school, I took him to the police station, everything. I went mental. I'd been down the school loads of times before. There was just no control over these kids. And took Tobias to the doctors, sort of get a doctor's note and stuff. And I said to the school, until this is sorted, can you send work home for Tobias to do? So they sent it home the following day. He did the work, sent it back in. Following day, no work. So I'm like, there's no work come through. We're not authorising his absence. Send him back in and we'll try and look after him.
Do you know what, Rhea?
Russ, they are the words. I can't
try
even...
and look after it. I'll tell you, we'll try not to let your son get stabbed.
Yeah, and you've already failed him for 3 months, and I've got lists, dates and times of everything.
Listen, man, first of all, fair play to you for pulling him out, because I'd have done it 100% the same, and I think anyone should. Like, if you can't guarantee my child's safety, then that's, my child is not coming to you.
Absolutely.
Because I can guarantee their safety at home.
Definitely. I mean, the police...
Out of interest, the knife incident, or what was the context? Were they trying to, I don't know, listen...
I think they were just trying to intimidate him, because Tobias
is
he's a bright kid and he sticks out from the rest. He's very straight-laced. He's very academic. He just wants to crack on with his work. He's not the jokey kid. He has a laugh and that, but he's not one of the lads. He's not into football, anything like that. He's one of the nerds, shall we say, which is brilliant about him. And I just think in that school, it was full of a lot of people on the cusp of maybe not quite a nice area, and there was no control in the teachers at all. I don't know whether you saw it on the news. It may not have reached it round here, but there was a travelling family and a black family, and the kids were fighting out. They made national news and stuff. It went mad. These kids were kicking the crap out of each other, and then it was all being recorded, and then the headmaster just saunters up, break it up, girls. And it should have been dealt with quickly. Anyway, the headmaster got the sack. The school just had no control, basically. The issue with the social media where they said, we're going to film it and put it. One of the kids got a 1-day suspension on that, even though you're not supposed to have phones. It's bullying. It's homophobic, whatever, whatever. I suppose they were just looking for something to take the piss. So Tobias stood out in that sense in that school. So I think they were just trying to intimidate and take the piss, not for any particular reason. He hadn't done anything to cause them.
I was just wondering whether it was like, were they trying to steal his lunch money? You know what I mean? Or that's just mad.
No. So that all happened anyway. So then I pulled him out, signed him out of school. Said, no, it's our job. So this was November. So then obviously, like, right, let's get him into another school then. So the woman from the council contacted us. Oh, can we have a Zoom call about what's going on and stuff? So no, you can't. If you want to know what's going on, you come to my house. We'd already tried to have him moved in a managed move because he was refusing to go to school, which is number one on the criteria of a managed move. Oh, no, that means for the kids who are about to be expelled. That's what that means. So only if you're naughty, you can go to a different school.
Right.
So we signed up for about 9 different schools on waiting lists, expecting, all right, month or two, whatever. The waiting list wasn't moving. So in the end, we had to pay for private online school, a British school, online education, which then meant he was sat in his bedroom from whatever time in the morning till the afternoon. No socialisation because there's no school spaces within the 9 schools that he can get to from our house. So that happened in the November. He started the online school fresh in the January by the time all the paperwork and that had been done. And then we tried everything we could do. And it was only because a friend of a friend of a friend worked at the original school that we wanted to get him into. He was number 52 on the waiting list to go into that school. The lowest number he had been on any school was number 9. And then when we rang back a few weeks later, they went, oh no, he's gone up to number 11, as in like there's more priority come in. So a friend of a friend of a friend, so we'd filled out all of this paperwork, emails, put in references from his scouts, his other clubs, his primary school, put it all together, and we sent it in on the Friday to this school that was breaking up on the Tuesday for the summer. And the headmaster rang us on a Sunday, of all things. We'd had a couple of beers as well, watching the football or something. He's like, come in tomorrow. So we were like, yeah, fine. He said, we're shotting on Tuesday. I just want to meet Tobias. So we went in, met the headmaster on the Monday, and within 5 minutes, he was like, yeah, see you for year 8. But he jumped, like, we had to go in the back door, do you know what I mean? To get a school space. And there's me paying, like, again, it's not the money. I don't care. Luckily, I could afford it. Some people can't. All the councilwoman said is just get him, like, print out a few worksheets, take a couple of pictures of him baking and that. So
it's mad rare, isn't it? Because, like, I experienced it in a very small thing when my lad moved up here, and it took us a couple of months to get him into a school. But when you're actually in a position of trying to get a kid into school, because I always felt, like, mistakenly, that if your your kid comes out of school, the schools are going to be there, kind of like, right, we need to get him in quick. Because of the way the schools go on about, like, if you want to take them out for a day, you think there's this mad priority and, like, need, right? They cannot miss any school. But actually, when they're out of the school system, it's like hot potato. They just pass them about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely didn't care, you know, and we could still be sat there now at the expense of £400 a month. I mean, the online school was brilliant and the education he got was brilliant. He couldn't join in with the Quran reading competition because he doesn't speak Arabic, bless him. But the teachers were great. He learned a lot about computing and stuff. But it was that isolation of being in his room.
Yeah, yeah.
How can you teach PE and food tech?
Yeah.
Luckily, Laura works from home as well. Like, how are you, what am I supposed to bring him to work? I mean, sit down there, mate, and do your online schooling while I've got the sounder blasting.
Yeah.
Or what if Laura's working up in central London in a massively corporate job?
I mean, I don't know. Was it like set lessons that they did?
It was. I mean, it could have been like a half day Monday, and you pick the lessons. If you wanted the extra lessons, it was more money.
Because I'm sure, isn't it, if you homeschool your kid, you're only legally obliged, is it 16 hours a
Something
week
like,
or
mate,
something?
you could
Small, isn't it?
literally, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The thing is with Tobias as well, because I said to Laura, perfect time, like, let's just drop everything, go travelling. He can work on the computer, not a problem. And the school is broken into different time zones as well. So if you're out in Thailand
Okay.
or wherever, they've got teachers are all over the world, but
Right.
there's 2 time zones for it to suit the
Yeah.
world. But Tobias is such an academic kid wanting to go into what he wants to go into. That's, I'd say, about the only reason why we didn't just...
And the social side is definitely important to get them
100%.
into, 100. But I do completely agree. I mean, anyone who listens to this regularly will know my opinions on the education system. But yeah, the social side's important.
It is. I mean, he goes to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since the stuff that's happened at that school so he can look after himself. I mean, he's not a violent kid. He didn't want to do boxing. He didn't want to be punched in the face or punch anyone. But with the Brilliant Jiu-Jitsu, it's a bit different.
It's a great sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really technical.
He's making moves as well.
As an intellectual kid as well. It's like, I've heard it called a few things, but it is basically like human chess.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Really
like
is.
It's about thinking about moves ahead and all that. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Great. And he still goes to his scouts and he picks up weights at home and that. So no, he's brilliant. Yeah. So, but no, I would have just upped and gone to Thailand if I had it my way. So we spent our lockdown actually.
So many people seem to be going to Thailand at the minute.
It's amazing. You've
Seems
never
to be
been there?
No, do you know what? I was planning on going. Not this January just gone. The one. Oh no, it was this January just gone. I wanted to go, or was it the one before? I don't know. Whichever one it was, and then the whole situation around the salon move and finances stopped that happening. But yeah, it's on the bucket list, and I will get there.
Definitely. Do you know what? Even Easter, you've got like, if you want to take the kids, it's great for kids. But you've got like the 2 weeks of the Easter holidays as such for your daughter, and then the 3 weekends to do with it. So you've got a long time there.
It wouldn't bother me to take her out of school, mate.
Fair
I've always done that. I mean, I think the last family holiday we did last year, it was something like, and to be fair, I never got the fine anyway. The school said they were going to fine me, which was like 100 and, was it 120, 150 quid?
Something
I don't know. But it made the holiday like 900 quid cheaper. So I'm like, yeah, sweet, quid's in.
Can you imagine them now trying to find me? I'll be like,
exactly. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Right.
This is it. And to be fair, I was responsible, like with my daughter. It wasn't, I think we went, it wasn't around anything. There were no exams or nothing, but it wouldn't bother me, mate, to be honest with you. I would rather pay the fine, take them out of school and pay half the cost of a holiday in the summer holiday.
Absolutely.
Like, how they can inflate it. The worst one I ever had with that, again, we're going a bit off subject here, but the worst one I ever had was years ago when I was still married to the kid's mum, and we went to, I think it might have been Mallorca. It doesn't really matter where it was. But I remember the whole holiday costing about, I think we got it for about 900 quid.
Wow,
I mean, this was about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But that was because at the time we had one free child place. So my son went free and my daughter was under 3. So she went free. So it was just 2 adults that got paid for. And then there was a discount on that as well. So we got this mad cheap. And if we'd have gone 2 weeks later, the exact same holiday would have been $4,000.
Honestly.
Because there would have been no free child place, no free under 3, and the rate just jumped up. So 900 quid to $4,000.
Crazy.
And it was like 2 weeks before the summer holidays. And again, I was like, fine me.
Yeah.
You know what
100%.
I mean? Please do. And again, I've never actually been fined. I've been told I was going to get fined, but it's never actually happened.
So, do you know what? The school is there to teach them like school. That's what they're bothered about. Whereas the family time, the kids are so burnt out 2-3 weeks before that's when they need to, do you know what I mean? And it is all your family time and stuff. So that's not the school's problem. They don't think about that side of it, you know?
Look, at the risk of sounding controversial, God forbid, but they're my kids.
Yeah,
they're my kids. They don't belong to me, but I am their parent.
Yeah.
And they are not the property of the state. Do you know what I mean? So they don't get to tell me
what you can
and can't do with my kids.
That's it.
So if I think that, and don't get me wrong, look, there's people that would take the piss having them out of school for half the school year. Fine.
Yes.
Bring in the restrictions for that. But if it's one holiday a year, and it
Yeah.
always used to be fine, that was
Yeah.
a problem. Always used to never, like, it was never an issue. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like the few spoil it for the many, and they just blanket ban everything.
Yeah.
So, right, no more out holidays, but nah, sorry. Like, I think your lad would have learned far more from the cultures you've exposed him to and the travel than he would have in school in that week.
Absolutely.
So,
all of it, the food and everything, swimming. Like when COVID hit, we spent 4 months in Thailand. We were going for 2 weeks and we spent 4 months there.
incredible.
It was amazing. And we just said to him, no, I mean, the time difference anyway, you couldn't, his school wasn't actually doing the online learning, but we were trying to do the old Carol Vorderman maths and the Joe Wicks workouts and that. But
yeah, the Joe Wicks workouts, yeah.
But we could get bits on the telly when we had a telly. But I said, do you know what? Just sack it off, mate. Do you know what I mean? And we
The
just had a
amount he'd have
beautiful.
learned, Ria, in that time. And again, to echo what I just said, the state don't get to tell me what it is important for my kids to learn.
Absolutely.
Like, would your son have benefited more of learning about Henry VIII and what he did to his 8 wives?
God. 6.
Or
6.
was it 6?
Yeah.
Was he 8? Oh, see, it shows how much attention I paid at school, didn't it?
Do you know what? That's about the only thing I like was Henry VIII, and we live right near his Hampton Court Palace.
Oh, of course, yeah. But you know what I'm getting at? Like, some of the subjects are that abstract. Or learning about things that are actually happening now in real life, like that cultural knowledge and taking skills. I would argue, I mean, like, moving forwards with kids, like having that kind of communication skill, experiencing the different cultures, like that's going to leave him in such better stead than what it would have done for spending a week in the classroom learning whatever it is that they were teaching at the time. So, and that's the how do we do it? How do we take back control of our own kids' sort of like futures? You know, who's in the right and who's in the wrong? The state just saying that they know what's best for our kids, despite the contrary opinions, reasonable opinions of a parent.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think it's sort of, again, with all the social medias and the technology and the rest of it, and we're all guilty for it. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm sat here now. I found you on social media and follow your journey and stuff. But I just think people are so sucked into that sort of stuff, and I don't know. I think the government have got us where they want us, heading that.
Listen, we could have another 3-hour podcast on that. To be fair, I've got everyone's got opinions, haven't they? But I just think it's when it comes to our children, we put a lot of trust, like you know, your parent letting your son go to school and being expected, like the right thing to do, technically, by societal sort of rules and regs, would have been for you to have gone, yeah, okay, I'll send my son back to that school, and you try to look after him. But God forbid what could have then escalated and happened. Who's really going to hold their hands up and get in trouble after that, though? Like, you could potentially have life-changing consequences. But then you as a parent, as a mother, going, no, I know I'm going to protect my son.
Yeah.
You've then got the organisation, as it were, saying you're wrong. Like, really?
Nah, not at all. Do you know what? And I said to Tobias, like, there's the lesson. Sometimes it doesn't come easy. He's now in his first choice school, and it just took us a long way to get there. So,
but again, we touched on it earlier, that the experience will have given him some, sort of like durability.
Gotcha.
He'll then have built resilience through that experience, learnt from it. Like I said, now he's taking up BJJ.
Yeah.
He could end up being like a 4th Dan black belt down the line.
Yeah.
And the thing that started him on that journey was that.
Absolutely.
So sometimes you do have to take that the adversity, the knocks, the failures in life. Not that was a failure, but in general, in order to create that sort of like the thing that's going to make you move. Do you know what I mean? That thing to go, right, didn't like that, need to change it.
Do you know what? Exactly. And I think the thing is as well, like, he's not that he was ever not happy to go to school in primary and that, but he definitely don't take going to school for granted now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That first time when we got his new uniform and I'd done his tie up, and he was so excited to go back to school, and he don't, whenever he's a little bit like, I'm like, mate, you could be sat there doing it on your lap, and he's like, yeah, could be. So yeah, it's all the lessons. I love the lessons in life, and the hard knocks and that. I'd hate to have it where everything was just so plain sailing, because then when something does crop up later on, you got no chance.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. No, it's yes, it's valuable. It
yeah,
really is. We've covered some ground,
we
haven't we?
have,
We've
haven't
talked
we?
about a right diverse range of
We
things.
have.
Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you want to?
Not really. I mean, it's literally only touched on the social media stuff and the opportunities that sort of brought as such. Picked up my first ambassadorship last week.
Are you allowed to say?
Yeah.
Go on then.
So, literally 2 weeks ago, I was doing an external job and I was using Emperor paint. Have you heard of them?
I thought,
Like
yeah, I
silicone
have.
renders and stuff, and they've got like the
Do they do
lifetime
tapes as
guarantee.
well?
Nah,
Oh,
literally
Emperor.
just.
Okay, then maybe I'm getting them confused.
So I'd never spoken to him, and Tobias's favourite animal is a penguin. So I
Right.
thought, right, I'll try this paint. I'd heard loads of good stuff, so bought loads of it. I was using it, doing my daily reels as I do and stuff, shouting about them. And then literally a couple of days later, they were like, "We've been sort of watching you for it, and love to offer you the opportunity of the ambassadorship."
Nice one.
So I was
Congratulations.
like, "Oh my god, yeah!" So that's been before all this social media. I didn't know anything about. I was a bit of an old dog, with my tools and my methods.
Same. Yeah, absolutely. It's a big subject. It's a bit controversial, not even controversial. That you've got two sides of the coin, but it's generally the people that haven't got the opportunities that criticise it. But there's a lot to benefit through social media. I think, provided you know why you're using it, it's fantastic. It's a great tool. I think the problem is quite a few people are a little bit lost
Yeah,
somewhere between why they're using it and they're trying to follow trends of people.
yeah,
But as long as you know why, and that's a great thing, you promote things like a brand, you can end up with an ambassadorship, and then that can bring you in. You tend to find one follows another, but you can get deals. You can either get deals on materials, free things, or get paid
yeah,
opportunities. So there's definitely point to it.
yeah.
I think there's a few people out there a little bit lost in limbo as to why they're on social media.
I mean, that's never what I started it out for. As I said, I had the Facebook page for years and years, and then actually Joanna Hay kept popping up,
Yeah.
having a little look. I really like her in the sense of she don't give a shit. She don't
Joe's
take
ace,
no
yeah.
shit off no one.
Only a few weeks ago, she was sat in here.
Yeah, and she's just to the point. This is the way it is, and that. And the other one who kept popping up, of course, was Kev, Paint Warrior. So having a little look through, and that was sort of I'll start giving my social media a little push. And the amount of people who message me now, amazing, little hints and tips, and I've managed to paint my skirting boards, and I've had quite a few young girls as well, the same as what Joanna said, helping bring the next generation.
Brilliant.
I've been getting involved in with Georgie from Cozy and the females in the trade and stuff. That's been really good as well. It's been great. I never wanted to do it at first, but I thought, I've got a bit of time. I'm in Thailand. I'll have a little go. I met Sam. That's where I met Sam.
It has its real benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you're only just over a year into your sort of Instagram push, as it were, just keep going, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, my RDP page, my business. I don't know anyone watching out there, but I'm a decorator. My RDP page, I think that's been going about 5 years.
Yeah.
So it sometimes takes a while to.
Yeah.
I used it a little bit differently, I guess, because my social media for my business was just a portfolio for ages. I was just like, the pictures are there for customers. That's it. I'm not interested in the other stuff.
Yeah.
But then obviously with doing this, and it's kind of changed the game a little bit. So there's different opportunities to explore now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's a growing industry.
I've learned so much off Instagram as well. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant
About
tool.
Products, and you can, Facebook's full of trolls. It makes me laugh. I'll just do a little daily reel of literally everything I've done in the day, what I've used. Some people will try and pick out the bad thing. Some people will go, you shouldn't have uploaded that. And I'm like, but why? Because not everything goes 100% perfect, or, that if that wall's already built crooked and you cannot get it flat or straight, then the customer budget and that kind of stuff. So I will put the good, the bad, and the ugly in there. But can't remember where I was going with this. brain's gone.
The growth of social media.
Yeah, that's it. So it's but it's just constantly changing, and I love to be there to show the younger ones, like you can come in
great
and
for
there's
that.
so much to learn from it. And I haven't got into spraying. I want to get into spraying and stuff, and I've found a few companies on there now who that's the next thing I'm going to pursue. I'm never going to get into paper hanging. I cannot stand it. Or you're just a brush hand. Oh, I'm just a brush hand, not a problem.
Yeah.
But the spraying, I was always like, nah, I don't fancy that. But now I do, it's such a great network of
it's
people.
It's a good one to so I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
I'll have a chat to you about that afterwards.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Yeah, I think spraying's going to just continue to grow.
Definitely.
I think that's got real future.
Yes.
Sort of future proofing. With Alfie coming into my business, that was my thing. I'm like, look, I almost feel like I'm a little bit old. Like, I'm not old in the tooth, but I'm kind of like, I want to be off the tools within 10 years. But I want to get him trained up in all the things I don't currently do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'd rather put the attention into training him to get proficient at certain things rather than me. Because I'm like, that's more of a stable investment for him because he's got 30, 40 years potentially.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm like, that's the way I see it. Because I do quite a bit myself. Like I do paper hanging. I do specialist paper hanging. We do various bits. I do HVLP or XVLP spraying and whatever. But like the airless side, we haven't touched in. So there's some of it where I think rather than just keep training me up, is maybe start training him up now.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. So Georgie from Cozy, she's gone into spraying and she's done a lot of kitchens and she's like built herself a unit and stuff and she's got it all kitted out. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So she's started to do a few kitchens and that, and I actually really enjoy painting wood. So if I can do like kitchens, and even I'll get a few people asking me to do like Welsh dressers and all of that. If I can get into that again, I don't want to be on the tools forever. I'm getting a bit old for it, but
wears on you, doesn't it? After a bit,
it really does, mate. It really does. So
it's a trade in itself, spraying though.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I can imagine
like
you
the
kind of got to keep going with it to get good.
Yeah.
But no, definitely, I'm enjoying it. As I said, like devil makes work for idle hands, and I'm absolutely, my workload has increased massively with the social media and all the rest of it. But I'm loving it and all the learning. Good to hear. Teaching Sam now with the estimating, she's brilliant, but she only ever sort of worked for builders and that, so I'm helping her do a bit of estimating, quoting, that sort of stuff. So Sam, I love you, but you do drive me crazy sometimes.
Do you know what, Ria? We've mentioned social media multiple. I was going to try and do my laces then, but I really don't need to. But I've just noticed they're undone. That bugs me. Anyway, that's proper random. We've mentioned social media several times. What is your social media?
Oh God!
Let people know where to find you.
I've joined TikTok as well. I don't even know what that's about. Yeah,
TikTok's a mad.
That I was like, never doing that. But the female touch, the various different ones have got various dots and underscores, but you'll get my ugly mug on there.
Touch. Ria's details will be in the episode description below. Wherever you're listening to this or watching this, it'll be below.
Yeah.
So, funnily enough, TikTok apparently has got the biggest growing demographic of like 30 to 45-year-olds of any platform. So apparently, I've been in a couple of meetings, but TikTok's one to focus on there.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, one of my clients recently, he works for TikTok. I didn't ask him too much because I didn't see him, but I might drop him a little. I was like, TikTok. But I might drop him a little message. But it's good. I'm enjoying it. I had all my accounts hacked at the beginning of the year.
I remember seeing that, actually. Yeah.
Do you know what? For me, I was kind of like, the Facebook, I was quite upset about that happening in February. We were at the airport going to Marrakesh, and I quickly I was like, it's gone. But I'd blue ticked my second Instagram account, and I better not say too much, but you don't need to blue tick your Facebook. If you blue tick your Instagram, you can get help across the two of them.
Oh, okay.
So I lost my first Instagram account and I was like 980 followers or something, and then all of a sudden it got hacked. Couldn't get it back. And then the Facebook one went as well. But so now I've blue ticked the old and that's all it is for. Like, you can just get help on if you've got questions to ask.
Mate, I've done the same. I did the same. I had 100%. I had Tell you what triggered me. I had somebody steal my logo. And I only found out about it because I had a printers tag me in a Facebook post. And it was like, I've just done all this, it was like T-shirts and that.
Yeah.
I've done this stuff for RDP, Painters and Decorators. And I'm like,
No, you ain't.
so I've messaged them. I'm like, mate, I don't know why you've printed all that stuff. I ain't put an order in.
Oh my
And they've
God.
literally gone, yeah, I spoke to you on Wednesday. I'm like, nah, you ain't. Like, I'm thinking, what's going on? Initially, I thought, somebody printed a load of stuff and then they're going to try and get me to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it was legit my logo.
Oh my God.
And they were like, yeah, you're in Doncaster. I'm like,
No.
nah, mate. Anyway, long story short, there's another company operating under exactly the same name as mine in a different area. I got hold of the geezer and I was like, look, what's going on? Give them the benefit of the doubt, right? Make your own judgments. Apparently, didn't know anything about me and had outsourced getting a logo made to a third party.
Right.
This third party had just gone on Google, supposedly, and had just stolen my logo and then sold it to this person. But anyway, this whole situation kind of triggered in me. I was like, shit, I need to kind of protect myself. So I've actually got my logo trademarked now, so I own it. Copyrighted, trademarked, whatever. But I did all the blue ticking from there because I thought to myself, actually, somebody could just start up an account with my business name, use all my stuff. Yeah. How am I going to prove that it's me and it's that they're not me? Do you know what I mean? Like having your identity stolen. So I did it like hands up. Anyone who wants to judge me, I don't give a shit. I paid for the blue tick.
Yeah, me too.
For the security reasons.
Absolutely.
But I think so many people do it now, Ria. I don't think it. I think when it first come about, people were a bit cagey, like, I've gone blue tick. But you see accounts now with like 300 followers.
It's like an insurance. That's what the blue tick is. Yeah. It's like, I ain't got it because I've got like
not only that
1,600 followers or something stupid.
Like if you're a customer and you're looking to make inquiries and you see that somebody is authenticated, gives more trust for the customer.
Absolutely.
So the customer now knows that they are talking to who they think they're talking to.
Definitely.
I don't think there's anything about it no more. I think the whole celebrity status of it as it used to be, I think that's gone now.
No, absolutely. And do you know what? Oh, and I'm going to say this, I get a lot of people and they'll say to me, like, because I obviously use a lot of Paint Warriors materials and stuff. I rate them the same way as I've got your merch and that. I rate it. But actually, when I lost that Instagram and I joined and got the new Instagram, I could still get onto the old page as a viewer and I could download the stuff, but it had the watermark and it was a bit sketchy because it wasn't saved to my phone. So I was trying to put a few bits up, and then Kev obviously clocked it and he sent me a couple of voice messages, and he was, first of all, he shouted out my new account, bless him. I'd only met the bloke once, and then we exchanged a few voice messages, and he was about the only person who actually went, don't do that, just start again, give me a few little pointers and tips, do you know what I mean? So all of that help that he gave me, and then I got, you're up, Kev, so I'm not up his arse, mate. No one else reached out. Not that I want people to reach out and help me.
Yeah, but it goes a long way, doesn't it?
Goes a long way.
Kev's a genuine guy.
Absolutely.
And I know, knowing Kev how I know him, I know that he hates those kind of injustices.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, he didn't have to reach out and sort of say, do you know what, do this, do that. Here's a few little tips that's going to sort of help you get it back up. So, yeah, appreciate that. But nah, Instagram's full of good people. I'm really enjoying it. So,
good, man.
As I said, that's kind of, it is why I'm here. So it's good.
That's it.
It's been a long time coming, Russ.
The journey.
Kept messaging you saying, I'm coming, I promise, I'm building myself up, I'm coming to see you. Just you've been brilliant. No, I really appreciate you sitting down with me.
Listen, the thanks are all mine. I've said it a million times. The podcast would not exist if it wasn't for people like you coming and being willing to sit and open up. I mean, you've opened up on some really personal, private things. Massively grateful, because it goes a long way to helping others. That's the only reason I do it. The reason that you've come to sit there is to try and help others and help each other. So no, I'm hugely grateful, mate. Really appreciate you coming in.
Like, and I'm my inbox is open, you know, on any platform to have a chat with someone, you know, not a problem. I'm not qualified in any way, but I've been through a bit, so
that qualifies you.
Well, yeah, life
you know
experience, innit? But if anyone is going through it, and they feel like they want to have a little chat with me, my ears are always there, you know.
Appreciate that. Well, as I said before, Ria's details will be in the episode description. If you don't already, go and give Ria a follow on the platforms you may be on. Before we wrap up, a quick thank you to the Funky Peach, our guest workwear merchandise providers. If you're looking for any workwear, go and check those guys out. They're brilliant, and they provide all of the guest merch for people such as Ria to take away as a memento for coming in today. Big shout out to Steve at Uncle Matt's Hats as well. Keep doing your work. It's incredible. Again, you wear caps. Yeah. Ria's taking an Uncle Matt's hat today.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you to you guys. Huge thank you to everyone that's listening. I'll catch you soon on the next one. Ria, we're good.
We're good.
We're
Wow.
good. Catch you soon.